Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Guilty as Charged podcast coverage of day 2. The Chargers will be up in approximately 40 picks from now, but we're here on a little early, getting through all this draft coverage. And here with me today, I have Kyle Gavino. Will be coming on a little bit later at 8:30 Eastern. But Kyle, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Alex. How you doing?
I'm doing great myself. We have an early comment here from AlphaMan27 talking about Tyler's love handles. I guess this is from the Twitter pictures he posted yesterday. So we're already savaging Tyler. But in tribute to Tyler's love handles, I'll drink some vodka. How about that?
We're allowed to have drinks on the show? Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, okay. I don't know if we're allowed to, but this is what happens when Steven and Tyler give me the channel.
So, oh, man, all right. I might go to run to the fridge real quick.
All right. Let's do a little quick recap of what has happened in round 2 so far. We had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Logan Hall. The Packers took Christian Watson, finally getting a receiver after trading up. Roger McCreary to the Titans. Thank you for A.J. Brown. Breece Hall to the Jets. So that was the first running back off the board. The Texans taking safety Jalen Petre. Falcons trading up for Steven's guy and Tyler's guy, Arnold Ebiketie. I thought that was a pretty solid pick. Bears with Kyler Gordon. Seahawks taking Boye Mafe. And then the Seahawks with a running back after they already have Carson and Penny. So that's an interesting scenario there. Andrew Booth to the Vikings. And then the Giants just took Wandale Robinson with their 43rd pick. So I wonder what that means for Kadarius Toney. So we'll find that out in a little bit. Kyle, I want to get some of your thoughts here. What do you think just in general about what played out on day 1 for the Chargers, for the draft in general, maybe winners and losers before we get into some day 2 stuff?
Yeah, I couldn't be happier with the pick they made. If people watched, listeners were tuned in to a previous video I was on, I did one separately on my own a day ago, and a couple days ago, Tyler and I were talking about what it would look like if we traded down, basically. And I would have loved to have seen a trade down completely out of the first even and just collect a plethora of, day 2, maybe top end of day 3 picks, but staying put, feet on the ground in the sand, whatever you want to call it, and just taking Zion is the best thing we could have done at 17 if we decided to stay put.
Yeah, I agree. And, there were people that we could have traded back to 2021, 2023 and still gotten Zion. But I'm like, I don't care. If you have a guy that you're confident is going to be your all pro guard for a long period of time, like they said on the podcast today, then I'm completely fine with it. And so moving forward, I'm still shocked that Steven willed this into existence. He's been talking nonstop, my ear off about Zion Johnson. And a month and a half later, he really manifested this into happening. So what do you think the Chargers offensive line kind of looks like heading into the season with Zion Johnson on it?
So are you asking, do I believe Tom when he says that they're going to keep Matt Filer at the left side, put Zion to the right?
Also, do you believe in Trey Pipkins?
No, I don't. Not at all. And it's funny you asked that directly, Alex, because everyone's kind of hyped about him training with Duke right now. But my biggest concern with Trey isn't necessarily his technique, but his strength. His foundational strength is just not like when you watch the games from last year that he played in, he really wasn't challenged by any defenders. The guys that he was stacked up against a lot of them were fill-ins. Like there was a lot of injuries to the other teams. He really wasn't challenged by the most difficult competition he had, I believe, was Frank Clark, and he didn't have a good season last year. So I don't know, like when you see him at the point of contact, when somebody's pass rushing him, he just kind of folds over a little bit and doesn't have the strength to hold up or stand him up. And I don't know how Duke's going to fix that. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see with Trey Pipkins and what happens with a potential Trey Pipkins Storm Norton competition. I hope Telesco gets another tackle in that building, in that room, in that building. So we have another someone in that competition because they just need someone else potentially at right tackle.
Yeah.
Potentially kicking Filer there. There's also free agent options, like if they want to go after a Riley Wright or somebody like that. But yeah, no, I think Zion, they said they're going to keep him at right guard. And then they're going to keep Filer at left guard. At least that's the plan for now. So we'll figure out how that goes. Bolt Dad podcast says Jake Gyllenhaal is co-hosting with us tonight. So that I don't think I look like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think you look like Jake Gyllenhaal. I look like fucking 25-cent store Miles Teller. But yeah, I don't know.
My wife's gonna get a kick out of that one because she's gotten comments about that before in the past.
Yeah, it really is kind of uncanny. All right.
Now with my terrible camera, my face is turning even more red. Awesome.
We've got John
Wonderful.
Mechie just went to the Houston Texans. So the run on receivers continues with Christian Watson, Wandale Robinson, and John Mechie off the board. Now Sky Moore still available. Kind of my guy hidden in this draft. Any kind of names before? I mean, we're kind of projecting here how these next 30 or so picks are going to go, but any early round 3 names you're looking at for the Chargers?
Well, I initially, when I ran those mocks, when I looked at the trade down scenario, I did like a battle of mocks doing so.
Mm-hmm.
In my trade, my staying put mock had us at Zion at 17, and then picking up Sean Ryan potentially at, what is it, 97 or 96?
Yeah.
Whatever our third round pick is. I don't know if Staley would really be too hip on having 2 rookies on the right-hand side, but I really like Ryan's upside. He said that he had a great talk and interview with the Chargers. He does project on a lot of coaches' boards, I think, or a lot of pundits believe he's somebody that would be better slated for guard, but that's what they said about Slater too. He has kind of a similar profile in that his one real negative against him is his length, but he's very athletic, very strong. I would love to see him at left guard and then push Filer out to right tackle, but I wouldn't be opposed to trying him out at right tackle because, he did. You say his name, Thibodeau? He did.
Yeah, Kayvon.
Yeah, he did an amazing job against him when those two met. In fact, Thibodeau's production had to come from the other side of the line. They moved him around, and the only time he really made plays that game is when he avoided Ryan. So that's kind of a favorite pick of mine. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys they can go for. I'm kind of in love with the idea of Kobe Bryant. I really do kind of want them to address corner, and I think Staley has, been in the mode of kind of like just acquiring more corners. For this room next year. We don't really know how long Michael Davis is going to be here. So for me, that's kind of my, goal today is to get a corner, but I'm really all about just BPA with this pick in general. If, someone like Bo Melton from Rutgers is on the board, I think that would be a fantastic pick in the third round. So really, I don't think they can go wrong. Just tell me who's left on the board. The only thing that I'm kind of concerned with is I think the run on edge is already in full swing. Oh, and the Ravens just took David Ajabo. So he is off the board as we speak. And so, yeah, this is kind of going to continue. Boye Mafe already went today, and Arnold Ebiketie, as I just said earlier. So I think that the Chargers sort of do want that guy to play edge 3, but now that those guys seem to be coming off the board, I wonder if the Chargers kind of just, wait a little bit, see if they can sign someone in free agency potentially, or, just kind of rely a little bit more on Rumph than they thought they would. But yeah. All kind of determined by who's left at the pick.
It would be a bummer if we decided to chase the run, and pick up the bottom tier at, and reach basically for an edge because we feel desperate. Really hope that doesn't happen.
Me too.
How would you feel about the potential of us starting 2 rookies and then having a guard and a rookie guard and a rookie tackle playing side by side? Do you think that's just out of the question? Like, is somebody like Abraham Lucas basically off our board now because we know we're going to have Zion starting on the right side?
I don't think so. I think if they took a guy in the third round, like today, if they do take an Abraham Lucas, if they do take a Sean Ryan, like I think they would kind of be fine with just like letting Pipkins, Norton, and that player basically fight it out for the competition. I think it is going to be a training camp competition regardless of who it is. I don't think they've anointed anyone to that position. So I can't say that I think that Trey Pipkins and Storm Norton would be particularly tough to beat. So I think if you at least take a guy before like the 5th round, I think they were a candidate to potentially start from week 1. Kind of depends on how things play out, but yeah.
Yeah. Man, the Ravens haul right now is looking good. That is a
Yeah.
good haul.
Yeah. And they're the kind of organization where you already have Jason Owe, so I mean, you can kind of wait for Ajabo to basically miss a whole year, and then you got the two of them coming off the edge as well. So that's going to be something fun to watch in Baltimore. It's just there's so many teams that like won yesterday. Honestly, like I had so few like true losers of the draft. Like I thought the Jets just had a smoke show draft, and they continued that today by taking Breece Hall. I think that's a great pairing with Michael Carter. Obviously, there's what the Giants did. Chargers. I thought the Eagles were great too. So yeah, the Ravens just continue to add.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing your Eagles. It was the Eagles that traded up, right?
Yeah.
That was a very interesting trade. I thought there was a chance that Hamilton would fall to us. I would have put that as, my betting favorite for a long shot in the draft would be for Hamilton to be the one that fell just because of those combines testing results. If you look at how many safeties have been picked up before the 17th pick over the years, they almost all have to have insane, testing numbers, like great speed. And that for the rumors of that 4.7 time, I thought we're going to hurt him. And I was really hoping that we'd be able to pick him up because I think he would complete our defense. But again, Zion's the perfect guy for us as well. I'm very happy with that pick. But
yeah, that whole process was kind of strange because I thought the Ravens would. I think they wanted Jordan Davis, then the Eagles leaped him for Jordan Davis, and then they just sort of fell into Kyle Hamilton. So I kind of almost wonder if the Eagles didn't leap them and they took Jordan Davis, who would have taken Kyle Hamilton at that point. I still don't think he would have fallen to the Chargers, but would have been interesting to watch nonetheless. The Lions take Joshua Pascal, so that's another edge off the board here.
Edges are flying right now.
Yeah. And this is sort of what happened in like every mock draft simulation we did. Thibodeau's and all those guys are going round 1, and then people right at the beginning of round 2 would just like start to grab whatever edge was left. So I'm kind of not too surprised that's how it's playing out right now.
Do you have a guy that you'd like to see them target in like day 3?
At edge in particular, they're sort of all off the board now. I really thought that like Arnold Ebiketie or Aboye Mafe would go later in this draft, but yeah, I don't think any of the guys that I want are really going to be there at this point. So I'm just kind of hoping for BPA, see if we can get cornerback or receiver maybe at that point, but we'll see.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Alex Wright?
I like Alex Wright quite a bit. I know Tyler's very high on him. So if he's there, I could see him being the pick. I almost just wonder if the Chargers would be into him and if, whether he's kind of like Staley's type of like edge player, and whether he's kind of right, whether he could play from, day one, just kind of insert him in that system. Making that jump in terms of the competition level. But I'd be down and take him, especially because you already have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. But I think people have also just pointed out too, like you don't want to reach for an edge, but Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa's like injury history kind of like wants to make you grab some insurance. So I'm curious to see just how the Chargers balance that both today and then also on day 3.
Yeah. Alex Wright to me seems like a guy that maybe on another team he wouldn't be as productive, but for us,
right?
Doggo's going crazy. Might have to put them in the garage. But they, I feel like picking up a Wright would just compound the Mac effect a little bit, or the value of that trade, because I'd like a developmental guy that has the strength, size, speed, but just doesn't have the talent yet per se, and put him in a room with Mac and Bosa and let them coach him up. I mean, that to me seems like the best case scenario.
Yeah, I think that is kind of the best case edge scenario there, but the way they're flying, I don't know if he's going to be there, and that does concern me.
Yeah.
I
have like a 4th round grade on him though, so I don't know if I would take him in the 3rd, but I was looking at him in the 4th. But
yeah, I to me, once you start getting to this point, like if you don't think a guy is going to be there by the time you're going to pick in the 4th, then I don't think it's too big of a deal to take Josh Pascal around early or something like that.
Yeah.
What do we think Washington is doing here?
Tackle situation is solidified. Have they found a replacement at right guard yet? For
I don't think they have. Yeah, I don't think they have yet.
They could be that could be something they target. That quarterback situation is very intriguing. Oh, they went for Wentz, man.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm just amazed at how Roseman was able to turn the Carson Wentz first round pick into AJ Brown yesterday.
That is incredible. Yeah,
it really is incredible. And then he's just gonna get shipped around every offseason at this point. It's
trading him away. You didn't get 2 firsts for it. You didn't get 2 picks for it. How did you?
It was a first and then a conditional. No, sorry. It was a third and the conditional second that became a first if he played the 75% of snaps. So yeah, they got a first and a third for him.
Got it.
Ooh, Fedarian Mathis.
That is just kind of their brand, right? Just a great defensive line. That's very on brand for them.
Yeah, that is very on brand for them.
Strength continues to be strength.
I also wonder if it's kind of like a bit of a redundant pick for them at this point, though, because you have Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen. I mean, I guess you're just preparing for one of those guys to leave, and then he kind of becomes the next guy. So that wouldn't surprise me, I guess.
Man, good for them. We'll see. I really hope. I would love to see like an Abraham Lucas available at our pick. Keep falling, dude. Just keep falling.
This is from Joanwell High Pair. Who are you sure will still be available at 79?
Hey, Alex, while you answer that, I'll go put the dogs in my room because there's a dog outside in a trail barking at them. So I'll be right back.
That's okay. Yeah, no, I think there's going to be a good crop of players still at 79. Obviously, I think you look at someone like Bo Melton, there's still going to be potential receivers there. I do think the cornerback market has kind of slowed down, and you're going to see people going after edge. So, like I said, I think if you go for like a Kobe Bryant, Tyler and Steven keep bringing up Alontae Taylor, so that I think would be a potential option for the Chargers. So I think that would make a lot of sense. All right. Yeah, so I mentioned Alontae Taylor. That was an option that I think probably will still be available at 79 that I would want the Chargers to take.
I think you were right on too with Bryant. I think there's a really good chance he's still there, and that'd be a solid pick as well. Who else? Ryan has been there on every mock I've done, so he's somebody I definitely would like to see. The other option would be Calvin Austin, I think. Good chance he's still there, and so that might be early for some people, but I love the idea of just a speed threat for Herbert to take the roof off the defense, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, if Calvin Austin's there, I'm running to the podium. Like that to me would be a terrific selection, just to, like you said, take the roof off the defense, and suddenly you're cooking with gas. Even though receiver isn't the biggest need for them, I just think he adds a dimension that some of the other receivers at that position, at that point in the draft, probably can't. Jorge asks, would they go Austin over cornerback? Probably not, but I would because I love receivers.
Even so you think at third they're really going to prioritize cornerback? That's your gut feeling?
I do think so, because part of me is like, I do think they really sort of wanted like a Trent McDuffie before like fitting him into this specific cornerback room where his size would sort of be a problem. So I do think they kind of wanted to go that direction at first. And then just all the cornerbacks kind of like really went, other than McDuffie, and all the receivers obviously went very quickly as well. So for me, I do think Brandon Staley would kind of prioritize corner, but I think defensive pick also in general. I think it would kind of be like a cornerback edge type situation too.
I feel like we're so in need of a stud star defender, like that star defensive back that we did not have last year. For some reason, Staley tried to force Harris into that role and had him just outside the slot. And that dude would backpedal away from a run read faster than like anything. So
yeah, not fun stuff watching Chris Harris versus Hunter Renfrow, all 22. That is just absolutely horrendous to watch. I do not recommend that experience. But yeah, like you said, I think grabbing this is kind of what the discussion with Trent McDuffie was. Is like if you put Trent McDuffie in that role Chris Harris was in last year, right? That's like a perceived upgrade. So if they were to get like a cornerback like that, I think that would be really, really interesting in this defense.
Yeah, Brisker's off the board, gone to the Bears. That was a guy that speaking of that star defender, he played that a lot for Penn State. You know, he was pretty much that star on box, you know, slot defensive back. And he was somebody I really was hoping we'd be able to pick up if we traded back. Didn't really want him at 17. That would have been way too rich, but that's the kind of guy that we need on this defense. Or even a roamer, even somebody that could play free safety or strong safety and be that, you know, guy up top that could free up Derwin to just be our stud at the line, you know, or in the box. That would be incredible, but we'll see.
Yeah, I love Jaquan Brisker too. And then there's that one play versus Ohio State where he starts like all the way on the other side of the field, and there's a running back, and he just runs like covers like 70 yards. And gets it before the end zone. Like that's the kind of like size, physicality, speed like you would want in this Brandon Staley defense from a safety. So is he's the second safety off the board now after Dax Hill? Was there one that went?
I thought I saw. Didn't Sign go?
Oh, Scene went, right.
Scene
went. Yeah. Forgot about that.
You'll hear how much my like research and everything like that, or just I do a lot of reading. I don't really watch as much the video, so I am mispronouncing every name. It like reminds me of when I was a kid reading Harry Potter and didn't really know how to say. Still don't even know how to say Hermione's name. Hermione is what I used to read it as in my head, you know. And then the movies came, and you're like, "Oh wow, I was way off." But
yeah, that was like us this year with Eloma Uzurike. You know, you got to learn how to say names, and you're like, "Oh, I don't even want to try this."
And I feel bad because my last name's impossible for people to get. So I feel for people on the other end of it where, it's
give us your last name one time, not because I want to know how to pronounce it, but because the audience needs to learn.
Got it. It's Di Domenicantanio. So Di Domenicantanio. It's a little Italian, just a little. Dude, that was perfect. No one pulls it off that good the first time. That's excellent, man. Well done.
Domenicantanio.
Yeah, with the Italian flair too. I love it. It's awesome.
You get a little. That's what New Jersey gets you.
That's where my family's from, actually. Yeah, that side of the family. Too funny, man.
Saints on the clock here after taking Olave and Penning in the first. Any obvious needs for them?
Steven is still on cloud 9 about Zion.
Oh, yeah, I saw that comment. Oh, yeah. So Steven is in the chat, or he's in and out of the chat, depending on his mental state at this point. So he's still on cloud 9. But so, hi, Steven. Jorge Rodriguez, Bernard Raymond, or Abraham Lucas? Abraham Lucas.
Really? I would think about Raymond. You would you like Lucas more than Raymond?
I do. I also just kind of like the projection a little bit better because I feel like Bernard Raymond is a little bit tapped out to be what he is, right? Which isn't bad. Like to me, I think the age thing is really my concern with him. But if he does fall far enough, you know, I can see the argument for taking him.
I heard he was removed from a lot of teams' draft boards too for some medical thing that they haven't released.
Yeah, I think Ryman and Evan Neal was also, I think, in that report or something, but Evan Neal ended up going just fine. So we'll see where Raymond goes.
I also like, even though Raymond was a tight end before he moved to O-line, so he probably did a lot of blocking on the right-hand side. So the switch probably wouldn't be as difficult for him as it would be for some other players, but I still like that Lucas played at right tackle and did great there.
Yeah.
So just plug him in. Don't even have to think about it after that, and you're good. I like Roy's question up here. You see his above Stevens? Is there a right tackle in the league that you'd trade a third for?
Trying to think of who's available. Can't think of like who'd be trade bait off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'd trade a third if you're better than Trey Pipkins. that's the quota at this point.
Yeah.
Can't think of like a lot of names off the top of my head, but I think that might be something that they go more for like in a free agency kind of way. Like I mentioning Riley Wright and some of the tackles that are like still playable, still available, even if they're a little bit older.
I would always be a fan of looking and seeing who has 1 year left on their deal. And
right.
Maybe not necessarily like somebody last year I would have liked to pick up that we didn't sign for some reason this season was like Cornelius Lucas basically got pushed out of their room a little bit when they drafted Cosme. Somebody that picks up a right tackle in this draft would be awesome to like a team that does that would be awesome to target and see if we can get away with a pretty cheap deal for whoever their kind of cast off is after that. That would be what I'd prefer. Instead of targeting a specific player, look for a good opportunity, somebody that might have 1 year left on their deal, so he's walking anyway. We pick him up for maybe a 4th or a 5th round pick if he's pretty decent, and then let him walk and pick up a compensatory pick the following year would be kind of my dream scenario there.
Looks like Alante Taylor just went to the Saints, so I thought he would be available at 79, and now he's not.
That means somebody's going to fall. Every time there's a reach, there's a fall. So,
yeah.
Man.
From Benjamin Bettenhausen, when do you think tight ends start going? Probably like end of the second. That sort of seems like the range where probably like Jelani Woods or someone like that, or Dulcich is like the first one off the board, or Isaiah Likely could be one of those guys. I don't think the Chargers would be interested in a tight end at this point, or at least not this early, but I do think that's kind of when the run will start.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they pick up a tight end before the 5th, in the 5th or before. They just, I think the room's pretty full. I think they like Hunter for one thing. I think Hunter might be sticking around a little bit, so we'll see. At least hope they don't.
I think so too. And really at this point, you have 3 main guys in terms of Donald Parham, the guy from Seattle that they just signed. Everett, sorry. Everett, just forgot his name. Everett, Parham, and McKitty. And then I think maybe like 6th, 7th round with one of those compensatory picks, you pick up like Steven Anderson replacement, some guy who's like a fullback tight end hybrid. One of those guys I was actually looking into was the brother of Cam Hayward. Connor Hayward from Michigan State. So I think that could kind of be like a name, maybe in like that fullback tight end kind of vein sometime late in the draft. But no, I don't think they're going to go particularly early.
I like Hassan Haskins for that role too. Not as the tight end, but as somebody that would be our like power running back that excels at fullback as well. You know, he could pass block, run block, catch, and power through some guys. So I would love that pick as well.
Yeah, I had him in my top 10, and I know Steven and Tyler were a little bit lower on him, but I would love to see him.
Oh man, Patriots doing what the Patriots do. So
They
they
traded down.
traded back. Yep. They traded up. So they traded
Mm,
back earlier to get some extra draft capital, and now they have moved forward. So they moved up. It's really funny. I like when I wrote the article on on basically the value of trading down. The Patriots do draft really well when you actually look at their later round picks and everything like that. Most probably a lot of it because of just how great Belichick is and how Brady floated the team for so long. But it's funny, like they were a good example of a team that trades back and acquires all this extra capital and compensatory picks and whatnot. But then Bill does go and make kind of crazy trades where he like kind of
hmm
decides I'm going to package 2 or 3 picks to move up at kind of a random time later in the draft. They just don't get as much publicity because they're later rounds. So it's kind
Right.
of interesting how he does that. I wonder who he sees right now that he wants to pounce on.
Well, yeah, I remember that video you were doing with Tyler. You were talking like the Devontae Parker trade or something like that, for
Yeah.
example, where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to give up a pick, but I know I'm getting a compensatory next year, or I know I'm going to get something else.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how they've been rolling. So I'm not surprised. Yeah, they're always this kind of team in the draft. It just makes their first round picks look a little bit wonky because they just don't care about the draft position in the first round, I guess. And then later on but if they started to get a little bit more technical about the first round, it would really be a perfect draft strategy.
I can't believe he hasn't just committed to just always trading out of it with how little success it seems like he's had. It's like, man, know what
Yeah.
you're good at, and this doesn't appear to be it. Just, somebody
Ooh.
just said they selected Thornton.
I guess we'll see. I don't know if I'm a little bit behind or if I'm ahead. I think I'm behind though. I'm kind of surprised if it is someone like Taekwon Thornton, the Chiefs would just trade out of there, because that sort of would I would think they'd kind of go for like a Sky Moore,
Hmm.
um, Taekwon Thornton type. Just obviously in the absence now of Tyreek Hill, but
Hmm.
yeah, no, I mean, there's also still other receivers later in the draft, but I I kind of am surprised by how far it seems like George Pickens is going to fall. So
Yeah.
I think whatever team kind of gets him, yeah, despite the medical concerns, is kind of getting a steal, because I do think if he tested, he would be going probably a lot higher
Yeah.
in this draft.
There is definitely going to be some stud talent available at our pick in the third. I really hope we just BPA it and just get somebody that's a stud.
Absolutely.
Mel Kiper's got Mel Kiper's got Abraham Lucas as his 8th highest player on the board right now. Can he
So
hold?
yeah, we're at 50. So 8 picks from now would be like 59. So yeah, we're just hoping we just gotta wait 20 picks or trade up slightly from 79, but I don't know. Don't know if that's gonna be super likely, but we'll find out.
There's a
And
lot of
then
guys falling.
the
Somebody just
Eagles are
commented. Sorry, go
on the
ahead.
clock after the Eagles are on the clock after this, I think. Right? Yeah. I'm still amazed by AJ Brown and Hollywood Brown going for the 23rd and 18th picks respectively. That messed with my brain entirely yesterday. I don't know how receivers are valued anymore.
It's crazy. I was talking with my friends about it yesterday because they're Giants fans, and I've been convinced that, I mean, everyone probably has their own uh, trade or moment where they kind of like could attribute this to, but where the wide receiver markets felt like it was breaking to me was when the Giants paid Galladay 18 million a year.
Yeah.
After that happened, I was like, there's no way we're going to sign Mike Williams for less than pretty much less than that if he had an average year last year, because they had kind of similar production
Mm,
previously. They both kind of had some injury issues. Galladay had the 2,000-yard seasons, but when you stack their stats, they looked a little comparable and kind of play similar roles, although Galladay is a little quicker. But yeah, I mean, that started it at like 18 million. Mike Williams for 20 million. I think a lot of people were like, man, that's a lot of money. But really quickly, you see how wide receivers are getting paid now. I'm very glad we didn't pay him 25 million.
Right.
Or what some of these guys are getting now that are in their first contract, first major contract, all those 3-4 year receivers that are now getting their first chance to negotiate or breaking the bank, man. How do you feel about paying 25 mil for AJ?
I'm fine with it. Jalen Hurts is on his rookie contract. Devonta Smith is on his rookie contract. Give
Yeah.
him all the money. I like, and it wasn't like a break the bank contract because I think he's like fourth in AAV now, and you got him
Hmm.
4 years while those other guys are on the rookie deals. So that's just kind
Yeah.
of how I view it. Obviously, the other teams are going to complain that now you have to probably pay Debo Samuel like 27, or you have to pay him like 30. But I'm fine with giving him that money.
Yeah, it's Taekwon Thornton, man.
Ooh.
Cole Strange and Taekwon Thornton.
Taekwon Thornton is like the most anti-Patriots receivers pick. Like I feel like you're that's kind of one where you're just betting purely on like speed attributes, um, quickness. Like generally, I feel like the Patriots haven't really like gone for those like combine darlings. I feel like they've
Yeah.
gone for other kinds of wide receivers. So that's an interesting one. Um,
Real estate agents are calling Aguilar right now for sure. They're like,
yeah.
hey, are you going to be selling next year? I think so.
Yeah, and also just Taekwon Thornton over Sky Moore, Taekwon Thornton over George Pickens. I don't know. I like Taekwon Thornton a lot. He's like my wide receiver 10 or 11, but
Hmm.
I think there's other kind of value you could have gotten there.
Yeah. How do you feel? Have you taken a good look at Kalen Barnes?
I haven't taken the biggest look at him. I know Tyler has taken him, and that's in some of the mock drafts we've done. So I would,
Hmm.
that's kind of a round 3-4 guy that I think that could be there. But I haven't like. Have you looked into him?
I couldn't find a lot of film on him. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to look at some highlight reels, but then you're not looking at you're only looking at the good and not the bad. But I was a big fan of his before the testing, before he
Mm-hmm.
just broke the combine open, and to see like now he's probably going to go a round or two earlier than he was before that, just because he was a little quieter. He was overshadowed by how did you say his name? I thought it was Petrie. Is it?
Jalen Petrie.
Yeah, is it Petrie? Is that how you say it?
I think so.
All right, I
I don't
hope. I
know.
hope. I think he was kind of overshadowed on that defense. But when you watch him on film, his speed translates. Like some of these guys are do a lot better and run faster on the track, but then they get to the field and they don't have that playing speed. Like it's not the way. That's not the case with him. Like when a receiver got by him because he was just playing aggressively in the beginning of the route tree, he effortlessly would recover and catch up to them. And every single time, he never had his hands on the defender until he like looked back. Like he would hand fight as defensive backs do, but he always got his head around and made a play on the ball. And that's like a level of maturity and composure that we're not really used to seeing from our fast defensive backs that we've had in the
Yeah.
past, like a Michael Davis or something like that. But I would love to see him come in and have a chance to develop. Doesn't have to start this year. Would just be a guy that would keep a undrafted free agent from taking starts. When somebody has to take a game off or we have some injuries. But let him develop a little bit and really capitalize on that upside in a year or two.
Yeah, that like kind of stopping the receiver's route in its tracks. Like that's a very like Sauce Gardner kind of quality. So
Mhm.
I'm seeing that in quarters just in general. So yeah, no, I haven't watched a lot of Kalen Barnes, but if he's there, I certainly wouldn't mind him being the pick based on what I've heard about him.
Mhm.
Oh man, the Eagles are on the clock. Let's see what
There you
happens.
go. Pick is in. Let's see. Let's see. Who are you hoping for here for the Eagles?
I know my head tells me like we need defensive help. Please draft a linebacker. Our defense is the middle of
Yeah.
our defense is dying. But there's part of me that's like Sky Moore. Give me another receiver. Let's
Jeez,
double down. Uh
you would
huh.
have you would have a track meet every game, man.
Yeah. The Eagles select Cam Jurgens. Huh.
That guy's not anywhere near my board.
Mine either. I'm a little bit surprised by that pick because they took oh geez, what's his name last year? The Alabama guy with the knee problem last year.
Oh shoot.
I can't remember what I should know him because he's on the team, but I forget him off the top of my head. It was Stevens guy last year. Crap.
I remember who you're talking
He
about.
got into a couple games at guard.
Anybody in the chat can help us out there? Come on, guys.
My brain is farting right now. I don't know. I can't remember this. But anyway, I was kind of saying they sort of see him as like the theoretical offensive guard center of the future, potentially post Kelsey, post, the rest of the guys on that line. So I would be a little bit surprised to me.
So maybe they're moving this guy to guard then? That's interesting.
Could be. I know he played games at guard last year. Yeah. Huh. He's been guard for them. I guess this is just their eventual Kelsey replacement. He was originally drafted at center. Who am I thinking of?
Chase Claypool is a large man. Chase Claypool is presenting the Steelers pick right now.
Ooh.
Yeah. I cannot wait for tomorrow. I'm going to be so fired up. So many picks. So much activity.
Landon Dickerson. Yeah, they drafted him as center last year. He played games at guard. So that's kind of why I was a little bit weirded out by this Cam Jurgens pick. I didn't watch a lot of him though. But yeah, so that's kind of an interesting one.
I mean, he was like the Lindenbaum of this year, right? Like he was just the number one center, undisputed, just had that knee issue.
Yeah. Yeah, he was sort of the Linderbaum this year. And then, I think they're trying to just put him at guard now just because they have Kelsey. So, maybe this guy is just sort of the guy in waiting at this point. But a little bit early, I think, to draft like your future center, especially if like you can get a Cade Mays or someone like that later. That kind of would have been the move, I think, for me.
George Pickens off the board.
To the Steelers?
No, was it the Steelers or? Yes. The Steelers.
Ooh, I love that value for them. That's good. So now they have Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and they got that's a nice receiver room. Now with George Pickens. Not the biggest believer in Kenny Pickett, but if it's gonna work, that's a good receiver group to have.
It's interesting that they had so much time with Kenny, with him being in Pittsburgh and had so many opportunities to like scout him. They must have felt really, really good about like I have a hard time believing that they would miss on that pick with just how much exposure they have to him. So who knows? Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe the hand thing doesn't matter.
Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. Like for me, I just feel like quarterback drafting in recent years has just become like you want the guy with the raw traits a little bit. Even if it's Josh Allen and he's throwing like 50% completion, even if it's, Justin Herbert and he doesn't totally have the processing down. Like I just feel like you want that guy. And to me, Malik Willis was still that guy. Not that I'm saying he's going to become like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or something, but I just feel like working with those tools. And it was just weird that the, rumors were, hey, we love Malik Willis so much, he's going to be the pick. And then that ended up being a smokescreen for Kenny Pickett. So, I'm also just surprised. I'm also surprised in general, Carolina didn't take a quarterback at 6. That was kind of what I was thinking they would do. And then they went with Ike Ekwonu.
Maybe that Baker Mayfield trade is alive and well after all.
My God. Yeah, I wonder where Baker Mayfield's going to end up at this point. Because all those starting windows are starting to close fast. And I don't know.
I'm sure Baker Mayfield wonders where Baker Mayfield is going to end up too. Poor guy, man. He is an interesting pick to me because I don't think you can call him a bust that for the Browns drafting him first overall. I never thought he was going to be the most talented in that class, but I thought he was the most obvious choice for them at the time
Right.
because he was the only one that had enough like arrogance and confidence in himself to be like, I'm going to go into this locker room and like will this thing into a culture change and to becoming a winning organization again. I don't think Josh Allen would have gone in with that kind of same leadership. He's a different style of leader, probably a better leader, but for how bad the Browns were at that time, I thought that made a lot of sense. So it's kind of, I feel bad that he's gotten the treatment he's getting now. The fact that they had him throwing the ball as much as they did later in the season when his arm or shoulder was hurt, and they had the best running backs in the league, and just none of it really made sense or added up to me. It was a really strange situation.
Yeah, I don't know. Baker's just interesting in general because I do think he's better than obviously the tape he showed last year.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's kind of like Seattle where they like have Drew Lock, and I guess they're gonna be running him out for 17 games now because they haven't taken a quarterback, or maybe they're still in on a Baker trade. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess I wonder what the difference is between those guys at this point. But yeah, I still think he'll end up somewhere, or maybe he'll just end up Ben Simmonsing it for a year on the Browns. I don't know.
Seattle trying to roll out Drew Lock is wild to me because Pete Carroll doesn't want to be around for a rebuild. He doesn't want to tank next year and draft a stud
Yeah.
quarterback then. What I don't understand what they're doing. But
Yeah.
oh well.
I think he's just gonna be there purely for the transition and then probably leave next year. Like that sounds like what that situation is to me.
That makes sense. I'm getting excited, nervous, and anxious. All the emotions are flowing.
So Alec Pierce is off the board. So that is another wide receiver gone. Off the board to the Colts.
Yeah, and we're dealing with Kansas City now. Kansas City has the pick.
I swear, if they get Sky Moore, I'm gonna be so mad. You can't just have Tyreek Hill leave and then walk right into Sky Moore. That would be awful.
I didn't even think about that, but I think you just spoke it into existence, Alex.
Yeah, I think that's just the obvious one. Like,
yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
yeah, and now I'm starting to think with just the how the run on receivers going. I think receivers probably out at 79 for the Chargers. It probably already was anyway, but just the amount of guys are going off the board makes it pretty difficult.
Yeah. Unless, I mean, maybe Austin holds.
Oh yeah, if Austin holds, that's
because after that there's a huge drop off, right? I don't really know. Maybe then we wait and just spend one of the sevenths on a speedy guy that might have some upside, like a Trey Turner out of Virginia Tech or something.
Could be.
All right, here we go. Yep, you spoke it into existence, Alex.
They took Sky Moore?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have McDuffie now and more.
Oh god, that's terrible. That's awful. And Joel Embiid is out indefinitely.
Man, what do you think? what do you think how do you think Tyreek's production is going to get distributed, basically?
Um, I don't know. I guess it depends on how much you believe in Juju, because I sort of think it's mostly going to be MVS, and then MVS for like the deep shots and Sky Moore for like the Tyreek Hill short range stuff. Because I
Hmm.
don't know. I just don't believe in Juju too much at this point, but he'll definitely be involved. And he's still young, but he's had just been nicked up with injuries the last few years. So I'm curious to
Hmm.
see what happens for him.
Gosh, man. Well, they will be paying him about 29 million less per year than what
Yeah.
Tyreek is making. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the interesting thing to watch this draft, because Tennessee also did the same thing with, basically shipping off AJ Brown and then drafting Treylon Burks,
Hmm.
which is like, I get it. Um, but it's, yeah, I sort of get the move, but it's also like, you could have also just maybe had both of them. Like, you could have
Hmm.
drafted Treylon Burks and then have that cheap rookie contract and also pay AJ Brown. I don't know, because they're eventually going to move on from Tannehill anyway. So I don't know. I get the move to like not want to participate in raising the
Hmm.
receiver market, but I also think that the receiver market is also going to like rise naturally anyway,
Yeah.
regardless of how you participate in it. So we'll see.
I think you nailed it though when you were talking about how you felt about it with the Eagles. It makes sense when you have
Oh yeah.
a rookie quarterback and you have the flexibility, right? But
Mm-hmm. If you're
I
the
would have
Chiefs,
been, if you're the Chiefs, I was really excited about the possibility of the Chiefs having like $100 million in salary allocated to Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes. I mean, it's going to be really tough to build a team around like with all of your cap tied up between those three guys. The haul that they got for Hill, it almost looked like to me the Dolphins are trying to compensate for these accusations that they were tanking. Like they're like, no, we're not. We've never
yeah.
tanked. We've never tanked. We're gonna do all these win now moves. Look at us. We're flat. We signed a guy to a lot of money. We traded everything away to get Tyreek. We would never tank. So that's what that pick looked like to me, or that move.
Yeah. I hate that I spoke Sky Moore into the Chiefs into existence. That's gonna come back to bite me.
No, but that was a perfect matchup. We have to
Mm-hmm.
blame 31. We won't blame ourselves because there's no way we were going to
Right.
pick him. But we got to blame 30 other teams for
Yeah.
passing on him and making that a possibility. Are we at any point today going to talk about Derek Carr's hair yesterday? Because that was
Yeah,
very strange.
that was strange. I guess money changes a man when you get that big $120 million extension. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I've never seen him rocking that cut, so that was a little bit weird.
that was
And then
that was
I also
so
just like how
weird.
Roger Goodell like was like, "Hey, Ice Cube, come up here and take the heat take the heat off for me." And that seems to be his like go-to move for drafts now. But we have our first tight end off the board, Trey McBride to the Cardinals. I think that was
Wow.
kind of expected as like the consensus tight end one of this class. And we have Sam Williams to the Cowboys, edge from Mississippi.
Ooh, somebody in the chat just said that your wide receiver deleted all his social media stuff regarding the Eagles. Not sure if you heard or not.
Which wide receiver?
He didn't say. He just said your wide receiver. So
Robert,
Robert,
Robert, I'm gonna need you to clarify which wide receiver you're talking about. If it's Jalen Rager, I don't give a shit. Depends on which one.
Sam
But
Williams going to the Cowboys.
yep.
Hmm. If Leo Chanel is there in the third, do you take him?
I'm a little bit lower on him than Steven and Tyler are, but I do think just what he would do to that linebacker room is like a immediate upgrade. I
Yeah.
mean, you would have to do it. I like
What what are your concerns about him? What do you see as
pass coverage.
Mhm.
That's like the one glaring weakness in his game, but I do kind of agree that it can be coached up. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, I do think you kind of he's certainly better than like Kenneth Murray and some of those guys,
Mhm.
and how they project right now. So I'm not against it in a world where you let Kaiser White walk. But that's just the question: is how much does Brandon Staley like value linebackers? Because I know there was a lot of potential like Devin Lloyd talk at 17, and
Mhm.
some of the other linebackers there like Nakobe Dean. Is Nakobe Dean still on the board, by the way?
It's a great question. I don't think so. Is he?
No, he's still there. Nakobe Dean is still there. So
Jeez.
this is a real slide for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think depends how much they value linebacker. If they want to take one in the third round, I'm not opposed to it. But also, like I was talking about this with Jason Reed yesterday, and he was just talking about like, does Tom Telesco kind of want to take the L on Kenneth Murray? Is he still going to like kind of promote Kenneth Murray to being that linebacker one? Kind of depends on what he's willing to do there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm shocked Nakobe Dean is still on the board. Like that's crazy to me, especially
Hmm.
because we've already had well, we just had the two in round one. We've had Devin Lloyd and Quay Walker. But I'm kind of shocked here that he could fall potentially to round 3.
Yeah, that's wild. You're getting to the round where I'd be surprised if a team that hasn't had too much draft capital so far might consider, and the upper end draft capital might try to move up to get him, because that's a fall, man.
Yeah. I swear to God, if the Buccaneers get him here and then they just have like all those linebackers, and then they're bringing up Nakobe Dean from
That would be disgusting.
yeah behind Devin White and all those guys. I mean, that would be disgusting.
Man, I would feel so much better about where we are right now if we just knew what was happening at right tackle. I just do not.
Yeah,
Just some competition for those guys. Unless we move, if we move, we're okay with moving Filer. I'm all good. But if we're
right.
going to, I just hope that it's not a competition between Trey and Storm again.
Oh yeah, I would hope not. Defensive tackle. So we have had Fedarian Mathis, and then Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis are the only defensive tackles that have gone so far.
That sounds correct. Yeah.
So I wonder if that kind of means like a potential Travis Jones or somebody like that in the third. If they're kind of exiting the Jerry Tillery situation. We'll see in a couple days if they pick up his 5th-year option, but
That'd be
I
a
feel like that
big,
could kind of be a really big trench pick if they just want to go full trenches in these first couple rounds.
that would be huge. That'd be awesome. I
Uh,
haven't watched his tape. Is he somebody with a lot of like lateral quickness and like leverage play? Like how is he with that?
Yeah, he's a really dynamic athlete, and that's interesting because like you're talking about like UConn film, and as
Hmm.
Steven mentioned, this is like you turn on UConn, it's like, oh wow, this guy just moves better than all the other guys, and it's like he should be playing at like a true D1
Huh.
school, and he's just not. So I liked him quite a bit. He was my DT3. I think I had Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt ahead of him, but I know Steven had him as his DT1.
Oh
So
wow.
that's really high praise from the resident trench man on the show.
Yeah.
Um,
It's weird trying to scout defensive linemen for the Chargers because that gap and a
oh
half
yeah,
system is so unique. There's
oh yeah,
you can't
yeah.
really like
There's not
scout
like
and
a right.
yeah, there's not teams
There's
that are
also not a
rocking it.
specific there's not a specific team or a specific type of skill set that fits them. It's just whoever Brandon Staley thinks can play it. And so that's why like I wouldn't rule out like a Jordan Davis or somebody like that for that defense,
Mhm.
but it's not between like a Jordan Davis and a Devontae Wyatt. I don't think the Chargers would like favor either. I think they could fit any DT into that defense at this point, but I think they might go for more pass rush ability since they've already signed Sebastian
Mhm.
Joseph Day and Austin Johnson.
It seems like they like that. It seems like Staley seems to have like prototypical body types he looks for. Like it with when he let go of our basically like rebuilt the defensive line. He brought in two guys that, and I thought it was so interesting and kind kind of confusing at first, but both Austin Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day were referred to as nose tackles wherever I was researching. So I was like, oh, we brought in two nose tackles? That's kind of weird. You normally only have one of those on the field. But they're both like kind of tweener nose tackles where, Sebastian Joseph Day is sub 300 pounds. Johnson's what, like 320, I think,
Something like
318. But they both have a great first step and excel at like leverage, because when you do that gap and a half and you got to get to the gap quickly, you got to explode off the line, get to the gap, but then you have to have the like ability to change direction and completely transfer your body and weight over to the other gap when when the running back goes to the opening that you've left him. It's almost like a little Venus flytrap situation. Like you kind of bait them, then you go and get them. So it's interesting. I like trying to find like guys in this draft class that have that kind of skill set. Is interesting to try to like comb through and do. I really like Devontae Wyatt for that reason, and then I found out about his, accusations, and that really removed him from the board pretty quickly. But
he went to Green Bay, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 28. So Sebastian Joseph Day. I like Sebastian Joseph Day quite a bit because I think he does have some of that pass rushing upside. Not a little bit more than Austin Johnson, but I think they probably want to go for like a true pass rushing type that's not Jerry Tillery at this point, and kind of move forward with that group. Has Alex heard about Embiid being out indefinitely? No, I haven't heard about it. It's why I'm drinking. Thank you. You guys got to stop talking about it. Please, this is an NFL draft show. We don't talk about basketball here anymore. Max Mitchell in the third. I would love Max Mitchell in the third. That's if
really in the third.
I know he is a bit more of a developmental DT, but considering we're already talking about Pipkins and Norton, like I think he could kind of compete for that job anyway. And I just love his measurements and like the way he kind of like I think his measurements are actually like pretty comparable to someone like Brian Balaga a little bit. So I would sort of like that, prototypical right tackle size. So yeah, if they could get him, I think that'd be really interesting.
He's the one downside to him is his strength, right? He's just he needs to bulk up a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, he's coming from Louisiana, so I mean, I think that you do that in an NFL locker room, or an NFL strength and conditioning facility in general, they can kind of work that out. But maybe he doesn't start from day one, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Lock him and Pipkins in the weight room, and they can't come out until they put on 15 pounds of muscle.
Throw out the key till September 13th or whenever the season starts. Okay, so we have 2 picks since Sam Williams is taken by the Cowboys. Luke Gedeke, I actually really liked him as a guard prospect. Goes to the Buccaneers. So the rich get richer on the offensive line there. And Troy Anderson, linebacker from Montana State, goes to the Falcons. I like Troy Anderson a lot too. Has a lot of juice. Kind of reminds me of like a little bit like a spicier Drew Tranquil, just as like a pass rusher and how he moves around the field. So that I think is a really good pick for Atlanta.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind Max Mitchell either. I kind of have a fourth. I had him as a 4th round grade, only partially because I had kind of just my guy in the third was Lucas. I really hope Lucas falls, or Ryan. Those were my 2, like Lucas if he falls, Ryan if Lucas isn't available but Ryan's still there. We'd have to wait and see like who's there, because if there's a Calvin Austin there, I would rather roll the dice on Mitchell lasting until our position in the 4th and take an Austin right then and there. But we'll see.
Yeah, one of the reasons that I think Chargers fans should be happy with Zion Johnson being the pick now is that you're starting to see this run on interior offensive lineman Luke Gedeke off the board. Now Ed Ingram to the Vikings, so he's off the board as well.
We've talked about Ryan, but is there another guard that you see available that you think could slide in, start, and then push Filer to the right tackle spot, and all of a sudden we're fine and everything's wonderful?
Not any off the top of my head. Now that Luke Gedeke is off the board, that was kind of my guy that could start potentially from day one. I think we're sort of like waning on the immediate start guys, which is why I'm hoping someone is left. You mentioned Sean Ryan, potentially. I don't know if he could start from day one, but there's going to be a lot of interesting names that you could slot in there. Guard. I don't think they're going to push Filer out at right tackle though, because we've sort of talked about this on the show. I think it's also a bit of like a money thing for them, because you probably have to rework Filer's contract if he's going to be there full time for the season, because he's making like $7 million, which is good guard money, but it's not really good tackle money. So I'm curious to see how they work that situation, if they really would like to switch him there. Yeah. What if we draft Malik Willis and develop him for a year and then trade him for first round picks? That's the Packers Jordan Love method, baby. Except they're not going to get a first for Jordan Love. So, yeah, I'm shocked that Malik Willis, it seems like it's going to make it to the third round. That's nuts.
With how many teams have a very big hole at quarterback, with teams like the Seahawks and the Panthers being there, that you would think even if they had a mid-second grade on them, maybe why haven't they traded up to get him yet? Like that's pretty wild.
And the Seahawks took straight up a running back over him. I'm like, well, maybe they just think they can get him later and trade up at the beginning of the third. But yeah, no, it seems crazy that we were just like, Malik Willis is like the bona fide QB1 of this class, and it's not playing out that way so far.
Somebody brought up Parham's name too. That would be a guard that's decent, a decent guy
Dylan
to potentially,
Dylan Parham would be interesting. I thought he was talking about Donald Parham. I'm like, who's he talking about? But yeah, Dylan Parham, I think is an interesting name as well.
Yeah, we got to get somebody that could potentially be a backup center, right? Because I don't know why we let Quessenberry go. That didn't really make sense to me, but
yeah. Well, they just signed. They did sign Will Clapp from the Saints. He's sort of like backup guard center potential. I think he started a game at center for them last year. And obviously has the Lombardi connection, as well as the offensive lines coach, whose name I don't remember off the top of my head. I just talked about it in my video, and somehow I don't remember it. But there's obviously Saints connections there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of trust him to be backup center at this point. But obviously it's asking kind of for a lot. Benjamin Bettenhausen, do you guys have a high third round grade on Khalil Shakir? I'm really high on him, along with Calvin Austin. I like Khalil Shakir. I would probably take Calvin Austin over him, though. More on the Nakobe Dean slide. The fact that Nakobe Dean is falling so much is baffling to me. I'm confused too. I had him as my linebacker 3, so technically, actually no, we just had Anderson go, so this is kind of makes Nakobe Dean linebacker 4, I guess, if he goes on the board. So
that's crazy.
I think teams are way overthinking this one, which is my only explanation. I know teams don't like his size particularly a lot at the NFL level, and so there are some concerns there, but I think just what he showed at Georgia, I feel like he should have been a first round pick, honestly, or at the very least an early second round pick, but him making it to the third round is crazy. Oh, that is Brendan Nugent was the offensive line coach for the Saints, right? Now he's the head offensive line coach for the Chargers after Frank Smith left to Miami. So yeah, that is the connection to Will Clapp there. Thank you to Miguel for pointing that out.
Guess who's 2 picks away too? That could just benefit from this guy, this linebacker just free falling.
Please. I'm not going to speak that one into existence. that will be your cross to bear if that happens.
I mean, this is why when you're, trading down and trading back is just such a great play, or collecting extra picks, because you never know who falls. If you are committed to BPA after trading down, there's always talent that falls. I mean, they could end up with quite a draft if this keeps going their way. Oh, that is going to not be fun to watch. I'll bear that cross. This one's on me. I'm pointing it out, but
would DeMarvin Leal be a good fit on the inside? We already have a DeMarvin Leal, and his name's Jerry Tillery. um,
Oh,
that that's kind of how I feel about DeMarvin
oh.
Leal. I like him. He is better than Jerry Tillery, but he does get pushed around quite a bit. So I'm not the biggest fan of him. But yeah. Um,
Tillery is in such a good situation this year. If he can't pull it together and
I know.
put up a good year, what's his projection after that? If you can't get to the quarterback when you
Yeah.
have Bosa and Mac on the field with you, it's over, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
gosh.
but honestly, like even his first year was 2019 when he had
Hmm.
Bosa and Ingram still. Like
Hmm.
so like I don't know. I just haven't totally bought the excuses for him. Although I guess Ingram did get a little bit older as time went on. But I don't know. Like I've never been super high on Jerry Tillery. I talked about this on the show yesterday. We were talking about Chargers former first round picks, and there was like Twitter threads of like all their stats. And
Yeah.
you just get to Jerry Tillery, it's like 9.5 sacks, 3 seasons. So I'm like, okay, we didn't have to do that, but yeah. Um Should I be locking in a 2022 MVP future for Herbert or Josh Allen? I'd say Josh Allen because that's probably who they want to give the award to at this point. And it kind of makes the most sense with that offense, but it could be Herbert. I mean,
I'd be going Herbert all the way, but I am a
really?
homer. I am a homer.
Oh, I'm a
That
homer
is that
too.
is
Yeah.
I could not bet on that.
Yeah.
Not bet
I
on
just feel
Herbert
like
there.
national media. I feel like Josh Allen's kind of their guy right now, but it could also end up being Herbert. Um, yeah,
We're going to be in so many primetime games this year, though, and
that's true too.
I think people do love Herbert. He's just hasn't been around as long, but I think he's getting people are. The dude's quiet and professional, but he's got this goofy side to him too, and as he gets more exposure, he's a really likable guy. So hopefully, I'd love to see him get a little more love. But the crazy thing to me too is this is the first year where he will have been in a system for a second year, right? And
Yeah.
this is his. So I mean, the sky's the limit for him, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I could totally see Herbert winning MVP. I mean, he was like weirdly kind of on pace to do that this year. Then obviously had like the Denver game and a couple stretches where he ended up petering out this year. But yeah, I think that from the beginning of this season, he has to be one of the top three favorites in terms of odds. I would imagine it's like probably Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
think those are probably the top three. Um,
It's going to be interesting this year because our division is we could have three teams make the playoffs and all have and the team ranked coming out of our division that's ranked third might have an excellent shot at winning. Like there's so much talent. It's going to come down to who stays healthy. It seems like, or who has a deep roster, which is what we need.
who do you think those three teams are going to be? Because
Not the Raiders.
you know, see, I kind of think that the Broncos might be the odd man out.
Really?
I've been talking about this with Russell Wilson regression a little bit,
Uh
and
huh.
now he's moving to a division that is going to give him a lot of too high safety looks,
Hmm.
and which is something he struggled against historically, particularly in the last couple of years. I don't know about the Broncos. They're a little bit weird to me, and I feel like the Raiders just kind of know what they have in Carr at this point and build around that. But they're also unstable too because they have Josh McDaniels as their coach now, who I'm not the biggest fan of. So who knows what we're gonna get from them?
And you have to factor in Carr's haircut indicating a potential midlife
Ooh,
crisis. So we don't know. We
potential
don't.
regression,
know.
potential
He-
decline in average depth of target. It just goes down. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I could go. Yeah, that's interesting that I haven't scouted Russell Wilson enough to know about his struggles with two-man high coverages, but that's something he's going to have to figure out if that's the case. And they lost. Fant and Harris were two big players for them. Like Fant was a mismatch guy. So they did lose some talent. If Russell doesn't come in and do an excellent job, maybe you're right. Maybe the Raiders overtake them.
I was kind of thinking Broncos over Raiders, and then the thing that pushed me over the edge was the Devontae Adams trade. Like when that happened, I was like, okay, now they have a real bona fide number one. They still have Darren Waller, and then they still have Hunter Renfrow and guys to give the defense problems as well. But they have a true number one receiver now.
And Josh Jacobs is going to be running for money.
Oh yeah, no, I know it was $8 million, and you don't want to give that to a running back, but I was a little bit surprised they turned down his. I totally understood the other two, but yeah.
And $8 million is not that. I mean, it's
not that bad for a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah.
For someone who's like a top 10 back end running back, like that, that kind of just seems like it makes sense to me. I don't know.
He'd be somebody that I wouldn't mind. Is like his type of running style is what I would want for an Eckler pairing.
Oh yeah.
Somebody that's physical like that.
Yeah, I would love him on the Chargers. Really, anyone other than Joshua Kelly and Larry Rodgers. Like they just have to get more athletic behind Eckler.
Yeah. Do you know when the restricted free agent signing period is up? That's one thing I haven't been able to find.
I'm not sure. I think it just goes until the end of the offseason. I don't know.
Because I would still love to sign Dearness Johnson.
Yeah, that's a weird one because I know the Browns have technically tendered him, but another team can like beat his offer. So there have been some rumblings about him. But it seems like he's a Brown for now. But I don't know if I put money on that being totally the case. That's a really weird situation.
Yeah, and he's only tendered at $2 million. Right of refusal. Yeah. So wouldn't have to give up any draft capital. Like that one blows my mind.
Yeah. Give him $5 million if he wants it. I don't care.
Well, yeah. And then what kind of upsets me about it, I was talking with someone about this before. And it's like, even if you think that the Browns would come up and match it, like, even if it's not a big move that they might beat you out, like let's say $3 million, an extra $1 million. Well, now you've taken $1 million away from, a competitor within our conference and made him a little bit more expensive for them. Like if that's the worst case scenario, whatever. But personally, I would pay him around $4 million a year, maybe even $5 million. Like I really like him. So I'm disappointed that hasn't been something we've done. There's a couple moves I wish we would make, dang it.
Yeah. Pick updates since we last spoke. We have Cam Taylor-Britt, cornerback, going to the Bengals. Drake Jackson, another edge, comes off the board to the 49ers. And then Brian Cook comes off as the next safety to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Interesting.
So we didn't talk the Nakobe Dean thing into existence. So we live to fight another day on that one.
So that's that safety, or that's their a replacement for one of their safeties that left. Is Sorensen gone?
In the free agency?
Yeah.
I think he's still available. I don't remember. We did a funny thing when we were doing our free agency primer where we just decided to take like all the money that was attributed to like signing contracts during the season and all of that kind of stuff. And we just put it into like a 10 million fund and we just gave it all to Daniel Sorensen. So that was just our like dead money hit. So that was a fun exercise we did back then.
Yeah, he went to the Saints. So they just replaced Sorensen, I think. I think that's what they're doing there. I haven't looked up. Yep. And so that, I don't know. I don't know enough about Cook. I did not have a round 2 grade on him. Where did you see Cook going? What's he ranked for you as a safety in terms of the safeties?
I think I had Cook like safety 7 or 8. So yeah, it wasn't too high for me, but I did like him, and I think that Cincinnati like secondary just kind of makes all those players pop, including Gardner, Bryant, and I did like Cook as well. So I think he's getting a little bit of benefit of the doubt there. But yeah, no, I think that's an okay pick for Cincinnati. Although would have gone to Kobe Dean. Like I mean, he's the canary in the coal mine right now. I don't really understand why he's still not picked. Oh, did Daniel Sorensen go to the Saints? Was that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that completely. How much did he sign for? Like $2 million?
I'll look it up. Probably. Yeah.
I would imagine it's too high.
1 year contract at the veteran minimum with 500 guaranteed.
What's the veteran minimum now? Like 1.2?
1.12.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Since he's a little older.
I think that's what like Christian Covington and some guys like that signed for as well. So yeah.
That is he always seemed to show up against us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean there's the famous Mexico City game, which is like Phillip Rivers throwing that pick, and it's like, oh man, that was awful.
Yeah. I do not mind seeing him go.
Yeah. He reminds me a little bit of actually like a Troy Reader kind of player where he can be like really good in certain spots and then other times he's just getting torched. And that's like Troy Reader in the NFC Championship game this year was just like so hard to watch. But yeah, that's a little bit of that what Daniel Sorensen kind of is too.
I mean, Troy Reader, I really think there's just the prototypical kind of like what we were talking about with our defensive linemen. Staley seems to have a build he likes for linebackers too, and it's like 240 pounds. With some of the guys, I think Amen's a little bit smaller than that, but thicker built linebackers that can hold up in those empty boxes, or shallow boxes. So what's Nakobe Dean's weight? I didn't even really get into first round linebackers because I did not think there was a chance they would fall.
Nakobe Dean weight.
Like him would fall.
Oh, it's giving it to me in kilograms because I'm overseas. Shit.
225. Pounds. So I don't know if they would make that pick then.
Yeah.
I would kind of be surprised if Staley would go for him because of that, unless he's really convinced he can bulk up.
Yeah. I wonder if the height is the concern for them or like the league in general, just that he's not like a big like 6'4" dude. The fact that he is like 6'0" or I know there's been people that's like they think like the 6'0" is bullshit and he's like 5'10" really like so that I think is kind of gonna be the interesting thing to watch if the height's a concern for teams. All right, let's see what the Bills and Broncos do here to finish up the I was about to say second round of the draft. All kind of blended together at this point.
Yeah, and
James Cook to the Bills. That I like that a bit. I haven't really liked many of the Bills running backs that they've had recently. So I think James Cook is a pretty big upgrade for them. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, we say the Bills, and I just get thinking about how David Quessenberry signed with them and how that broke my heart. So there's two good moves of theirs, but he's high up on my list for running backs. It'll be interesting to see. I know the Bills just recently said, I forget if it was the coach or the GM, that basically said they're going to pump the brakes on Josh Allen running the ball, try to preserve his body a little bit better.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a commitment to that. Try to bring in a better running back, a little bit of a more powerful runner, the way, kind of the same powerful running they were getting from Allen, but from a running back instead. And they've been a little spotty. Moss hasn't really done much, right? And Singletary is okay, but they never seem to really commit to running him.
Yeah, Singletary has flashes, but like then there's just games where he like completely disappears. I don't know. I know that as a fantasy owner of Devin Singletary in some years where you pick him up on the waiver wire, it's like, oh, here we go. And no,
Yeah.
get nothing out of him. But yeah, James Cook is definitely their biggest effort towards like getting a guy that could potentially like really hold down that unit. So I'm curious to see how that one goes.
Yeah. Broncos are up.
I swear, if they get Nakobe Dean, I'm gonna be mad.
No, the edge continues. Nick Bonito.
Okay. Yeah, I like Nick Bonito there. Yeah. All the edges are probably going to be gone by the time the Chargers pick. Don't really think there's a lot left there. Let me move to round 3.
We are out of the second round. Wow.
You're out of the second round. We have 14 more picks till the Chargers, baby.
Woo!
And the Jags are on the clock.
I am fired up, man. There is a lot of talent out there still. Oh, man. I've got like the NFL site just tracking all this, but I don't have the third round prepped for some reason.
I think you have to switch from the round 2 to round 3 on the tab thing there. I was confused about that too.
Hey, there we go. Good call. Good call. So is your favorite, and I haven't looked at all the teams individually, but I think you said the Jets are a team right now that you've really liked how they've handled the draft so far.
Yeah.
Good haul.
Just have traded up when they needed to or have stayed put. I love that Jermaine Johnson trade up at the end of the first round that they did. And then Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson were my wide receiver 1 and quarterback 1. So can't go wrong there. And for me, I also like Breece Hall because I think Breece Hall is the solid RB1 and you can pair him with kind of Michael Carter being more of that natural RB2 too. So I think they've done everything to kind of like build out that defense a little bit and also give Zach Wilson his weapons that'll make him work. So.
Yeah. What do you think about Tom Telesco saying that the phone wasn't ringing at pick 17?
It probably wasn't. I mean, because the Steelers knew that they were going to get their quarterback. It didn't seem like there were like obvious trade up candidates unless like the Patriots wanted to trade up, but the Patriots were also taking a interior offensive lineman, as we learned with Cole Strange. So, I kind of believe him at that point with how the draft played out. I think if one of those like juicy receivers was still there, like if Chris Olave fell or if Jameson Williams fell, maybe it would have been ringing. But I think the way it played out, just probably there weren't really as many trade back options as people thought there would be.
Yeah, a part of me wonders if how much like reputation of GMs plays into those kind of things, and if some teams that were kind of on the fence, because there were some move ups I think that happened after that, like you said, like the Packers traded up, but later in the round. I kind of have to wonder if Tom never having traded before keeps the phone, from ringing a little bit. Like maybe he needs to be a little bit more intentional, like, explore some options, make some phone calls, because he's so infrequently trades, right? Like we almost never see it. That kind of preventing us a little bit from finding value as well. That's my one gripe with Telesco. I really wish he would trade more.
Yeah, and specifically trade back, right? Like that's kind of the thing that he doesn't tend to do. And then I think he had an interview with Haley Elwood and like those like media reporters where he mentioned trading back a lot and then obviously didn't do it. So this was kind of like the year to do it if there was one, but didn't really play out that way.
Yeah. Well, this is odd. I had the draft playing up on my TV, but it looks like they only like showed the third round, and I think they switched broadcast after that. That's strange. Maybe it's because I use Hulu. All right. Do we have any updates?
No updates on the Jags though, although because they took Devin Lloyd, I don't think they are Nakobe Dean's spot. So I think they'll be going with someone else. The pick is in for the Jags. Vikings are currently on the clock.
The Jags picking Walker felt like the most Jaguar thing to do to me.
Yeah. I sort of get where they're coming from, but I don't get how you can take him over Hutchinson. Like that was like my one gripe with it. If you take him top 5, I would have understood it still, but over Hutchinson, like who's just at the same position, like who already has that like level of experience and like one of the most, probably the most NFL ready prospect of this draft. I thought that was pretty surprising.
Yeah. I don't understand how you pick the third or fourth most productive defensive lineman on the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
Like, his degree of difficulty was probably the lowest out of most of the guys in the first round, just having Jordan Davis next to him and playing with Wyatt. So I would have expected for him to be able to get picked first, to be somebody that put up 10 sacks last year with that kind of defensive line. But man, that confused me a lot.
That also, that's also how I felt a little bit about Quay Walker, where it's like, I get why you're betting on the attributes there, but taking him over Devin Lloyd, like I didn't really understand that. And taking him over to Kobe Dean, I still don't understand. Kobe Dean somehow still out here. Jaguars go with center Luke Fortner from Kentucky, who I liked quite a bit. I think that's a really interesting pick for them. And they're sort of building out that offensive line after they extended Cam Robinson. So I like that pick. And then the Vikings go with linebacker Brian Asamoah. So that's another linebacker over to Kobe Dean.
What is going on?
Bro, I don't know what is happening.
The tweener thing that you mentioned, I guess that's got to be combined with what we're talking about, maybe with, maybe the perceived degree of difficulty for him was so low because of the defensive line in front of him. I don't know. That shocks me. But it's working for us. Push talent down the board. Come on, people. Keep on reaching. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants make their move on him here. That would be that just, yeah.
What if the Giants really want to blow it up and just go Malik Willis? If you want to.
Oh, man.
Daniel Jones heading into the final year of the deal.
I mean, Daniel Jones and Malik can just run races together. They're both pretty quick.
Daniel Jones can mentor Malik.
My buddies are Giants fans that were over last night, and they are. We kept talking about how I just can't believe they haven't committed to the offensive line as much, as they last year. They did get a tackle, but that line needs to be so reconstructed. I would have actually traded down from 5, try to collect some more picks, but position yourself where you, like they did with the 7th pick, get yourself a Neal or a Cross or whoever was available, and then fall back and pick up Green or a Zion. But Thibodeau's fine too.
Yeah, they're a lot of their philosophy prior to that was just like, okay, let's throw a bunch of money at Nate Solder. Let's throw a bunch of money at Zeitler, right? Last year. So I don't know. I feel like they've just kind of been going for the old washed up guys. So maybe finally drafting a tackle kind of turn it around a little bit there. This comes from Isaac Gonzalez. Should the Chargers consider Dean if he is available? So we're about 11 picks away from that being a possibility. Kyle, what do you think about that one?
So you might think I'm kind of crazy here, but I would still go. I would say no, because I actually would rather have a Chanel on our defense. I think, when you watched, I went through and broke down tape, Alex, of the Raider game and kept a lot of statistics on it, and found that when the Chargers wanted to stop the run and brought in their tight front set with 3 defensive interior linemen, even if it didn't matter if they were in a nickel or a dime defensive back alignment, you could have 1 linebacker or 2 on the field. They still were incredible at stopping the run when they committed with that tight front. But when they have that 6-man in the box look where they're in their base nickel set. They need a guy that can hold up against against blockers, against offensive linemen, because every time a lineman was just coming right onto our backers, and they've got to be able to hold up. So I want a linebacker with some meat, man, with some thickness to him. And Chanel's got that. So
Yeah.
that would be my preference, but I would prefer offensive tackle, I think. I'd be happy with a tackle there or with Chanel. Either it's a toss up for me. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that as well. If they want to go linebacker, probably Chanel, or they could go tackle there. I know Kellen Deesh has been a guy that's like kind of commonly mocked. Obviously, other choices still on the board too here. I'm still kind of thinking cornerback, but I'm open to whatever the BPA is at 79. Like we said for most of the show. Giants go with guard Josh Azudu from North Carolina. Don't really remember doing any scouting on him, but
Whenever I'm in doubt of how to say their name as I see this come up, I'm like, oh, just leave it there. Alex will do it for us.
I don't know if it's Azudu. It might be Zigadu. I don't know, but he's not a Charger, so I don't have to learn how to pronounce his name. So. Yeah, I don't I don't know if you watched the stream yesterday, but I did pronounce Zion Johnson, Zion Williamson twice. By accident. So
my bad.
Yeah.
If we do go with a cornerback in the third, Alex, I hope it's one that's like that could play in that star role. That has run defense upside, Doesn't even have to be a big guy, just somebody that as you mentioned, will not get blocked off the screen when I'm breaking down film by Hunter Renfro. I'm like, yeah. So that would be my only wish if that's what we do.
Just got to push Devon Campbell down the depth chart a little bit more.
Yes.
Jacob asks, how would you feel about Ryman or Falele? So I guess Ryman is still available here. Falele also still available as we speak right now. I'd kind of be fine with Ryman at this point, as much as I've sort of been against him in the early rounds. Falele, I think probably you can wait on though, because of how he did at the Senior Bowl and didn't test the best athletically.
Mm-hmm. I do like how Raymond's got only has 2 years of tackle experience. So even though he is older,
right,
we could see a big ascension with him. At right tackle. I think I really like his athletic profile and his build. Raymond or him or Lucas is a very tough decision for me because of that. That would be very difficult to make. I'm glad I don't have to do that. But what's exciting is it looks like we might have a starting caliber right tackle available. In 10 picks, 11 picks.
Lucas available potentially in that fray, as well as Ryman and Falele. Can someone tell me something to Kobe Dean? A couple people have said in the chat that apparently he had a pec injury and decided not to get surgery for it. So, I mean, that's a possibility. I didn't hear too much about that. We have DT from Connecticut still available. Yes, Travis Jones is still on the board. Zion Williamson should transition to football without Biggie is. I mean, maybe at this point. So teams won't take Dean, but will take Ajabo. I mean, I think that's also positional value, talking about edge there. But yeah, I'm curious to see what this Dean injury is that's really causing him to fall.
To the Twitter.
Yeah. The NFL.com website is not uploading super fast, or it waits a while, then it'll give you 2 of them, and then waits like another 5 minutes. I don't know.
I'm checking right now to see if anything's going on.
Could Calvin Austin go to the 4th round? probably unlikely. I think he goes third.
Steven just tweeted that he thought Nakobe Dean would be this year's JOK type faller before he knew
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
medical issues.
Yeah, he did think that. He wasn't super high on Nakobe Dean, I remember. Obviously was partial to his guy, Devin Lloyd. But I did think, yeah, from the beginning he was a little bit more negative on him, and now the medical issues have kind of surfaced as well. Cleveland Browns go with cornerback Martin Emerson. I know that was one of Tyler's guys as well. So that is another quarterback off the board.
Oh man, this is turning out pretty favorably so far. I'm looking up at like the pool now. Just making sure there's nobody that I'm missing. I mean, okay. Jones, Austin. You're still, if Travis Jones is there, are you still thinking cornerback?
That's hard because it depends on what their vision for Tillery is this year. If they're going to play Tillery 80% of the snaps or something like that, then like I don't know, but I probably would go with Travis Jones in that scenario. But yeah, no, I wouldn't mind cornerback as well. But now those cornerbacks seem to be kind of flying off the board faster than the DTs. Tennessee Titans go with Ohio State offensive tackle Nick Petit-Frere. So he was one of those guys that's like a high upside kind of swing. So yeah, he goes in the third round like he was projected to. So that is a tackle off the board. I hope this is the last time we don't have a second round pick. Please, the wait is killing me. It's also kind of how I feel too. But I'll take Khalil Mack being our second round pick this year. That's fine with me.
Just more support for trading out of the first. That way you can just take the first night off. Don't even have to worry about it. Stack those picks for today.
Yeah, we should have made that trade with the Lions and gotten 32, 34, whatever other picks. Taking the night off. Don't think any of us are gonna be. We don't have a third next year. Do we have a third next year? I don't remember what our picks next year.
I thought we do. Yeah, we do.
I think we do.
Don't have it. We lost our sixth.
Yeah. To the sixth next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we still have a third for sure. Unless there's like a trade that I just forgotten about, but I don't think so.
No, yeah.
Ooh, Jaguars go with linebacker Chad Mumma. I like that pick for them. That is kind of another one of those like sort of Chanel guys that I think could have fit in this like Staley defense as well.
Totally.
But yeah, no. So Nakobe Dean's slide continues from the linebackers.
Gosh, man, he is going to be a steal for somebody. If that's the only thing it is,
we
can get surgery on that eventually at some point and have it all taken care of. I mean, what round? Well, I mean, you see value in him. We both see value in him right now. I was gonna say, what round do you take that plunge? But
I think you take it now. Like you're in the third round. I mean, if you can get a starting linebacker, or like, you could also take a linebacker in like the 6th or 7th round if you just want to like kind of hedge it if you wanted to. So I'm fine with that. I think it's not too much of a plunge to take now. Kareem asks Travis Jones, Austin, or Bryant if you're picking now. I want Calvin Austin. I want Calvin Austin if that's the selection. But I think the Chargers probably go for Bryant in that case.
Yeah, it depends on how Staley would. I think Staley would love another. I think we're kind of seeing Tom just give us some general manager speak when he was talking about Tillery's contract after the draft. I just don't see him staying with us next year. I would love to see a third DI that comes in and just rocks it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing with the 5th-year options. Like, they were just talking about, like, even when he brought up Mike Williams and Derwin James and all these guys in the previous years, he was like, "Yep, we're gonna do it." And then when it came to Chip Hillary, he was like, "Oh, we'll talk about it when we get there."
Mm-hmm.
So there's always just been that tone shift too. So yeah, Bears pick is in Seattle now on the clock. I have finished this bottle of definitely the Coors Brewing Company of Colorado. That's the one that sponsors us. It's totally not Smirnoff. So go buy your beverages from the Coors Brewing Company out there. Coors Lights, all of that good stuff. Definitely not Smirnoffs.
You guys are sponsored by Coors Light?
Yeah, we're sponsored by Coors. If you watch it on Spotify or Apple, Tyler starts the ads with like the Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado wants to give you the chance to win free beer or whatever it is.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah.
Keep that in mind. Future podcasts, we got to make sure stay on brand.
We used to have one in hand by Tick Pick, so now it's Coors. So now we're shilling beers, I guess. Jorge Rodriguez, I agree with Gyllenhaal. I don't see Tillery coming back next year. I don't see Tillery coming back either.
So this is a thing now. This is a thing.
It is a thing. Do you think Seattle goes QB? Maybe, but I thought that last round and then they won running back, so I don't know.
They have to here, right? I mean, there's no, unless Malik is just off their board altogether.
Jerome Ford, here we come. Seattle takes another running back.
Running back by mega committee.
Right. Oh God. Janwell Highpair asks, Kyle, do you have another topic coming up for a new GAC video? So are you going to do a collab with Tyler or something? Or
yeah, or whatever you guys want me to do. The one that I was wanting to create, but then we kind of like, well, let's actually sidetrack and get on the draft stuff because I was starting to work on that as a new article and I've already had this other one written. But, knowing that the draft was all the buzz this week, we decided to just pivot and go do that. The next video that I'd probably like to do would be focusing on our run defense, kind of like what I was talking to you about. It blew my mind that against the Raiders, when we ran that tight front, we held, if you were to take out like the 2 Mariota gadget plays where he got decent gains on like a read option or something like that, we actually held all their other rushers to less or to negative yardage. Right. They totaled negative 0.8 yards or negative 0.2. I forget which. So that to me kind of blew my mind. And even if you factored in all the pass plays and the Mariota runs, they still averaged less than 2 yards a play. So that pointed out to me how awful like Chris Harris was and how bad we were at stopping the run in our base defense, which is our nickel, So I that is something I could break down on film and show those stats. That that's something you guys wanted to see or whatever, any other topic we want to discuss.
I'd love to see that. Bears just took Velus Jones. So bit of a reach for a receiver there. Bo Melton's still on the board. My guy from Rutgers. I'd love to see that. Calvin Austin. Yeah, so they're definitely.
Did somebody just say? Did Lucas just go to Seattle, or is Brandon just messing with me right now?
Brandon's been ahead of us, so I assume that he's probably telling the truth.
Okay.
So that might be an L that we have to take there.
Oh, gosh, that does not make sense to me for them.
Yeah, because they took Charles Cross. So I mean, I get doubling down on. It's funny that after Russ leaves, they want to double down on tackle now. After Russ leaves, we got to protect Drew Lock.
This is called hate. This is called hate drafting. This is hate drafting. Just screw you, Russ. Now we're building a offensive line.
It's like when you break up with your ex and now you're suddenly going to the gym twice a day and
posting a bunch of posting a bunch of cute photos with her. Oh man,
starting my kale salad diet today. Seems like Seattle's doing right here.
Lucas did it, or we confirmed. Second person just confirmed it. Lucas to Seattle. Okay. Now it's going to get really interesting.
Yeah, now we're in the witching hour. About 6 picks to go.
Colts are pretty solid at tackle right now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the Broncos go for Raymond. Oh, man. That would be wild if there's a run on offensive tackles right now.
Yeah, we held them off for so long, but now there's going to be this big run.
Don't give me images of Pipkins at right tackle in my head right now, please. That's just.
What do y'all think about the Pats trading up for Taekwon Thornton? I get it for them, although I think there were better receivers they could have gotten at that point, and I'm incredibly jealous that the Chiefs have Sky Moore now. That's just giving me an aneurysm.
Just Tyreek light.
Yeah. We are now getting that you look like a mix between Jake Gyllenhaal and Andrew Garfield. So the comments are flattering on me today. Chad, why don't you tell me what you think I look like? What you're placing on these comments, and I know I'm not going to get positive ones, but tell me who you think I look like, Chad.
Oh man! So, Steven was asking me to send him a photo for this thumbnail. So maybe next time I'll just send him a Jake Gyllenhaal shot. Here you go.
That sounds like something Tyler would do. He would just put like his face, and then, or he would put like Jackie Chan next to Jake Gyllenhaal. Do something like that.
Oh man,
that's something Tyler would do, though.
Hey, I always appreciate good roast, man. Gosh. James said, "Baby Alvin from the Chipmunks."
Fuck you, James.
Here we go. Somebody asked if Drunk Alex is going to be making a guest appearance today.
I only have one bottle. If I had more, I would, but...
Marcus Jones is interesting, too. I mean, there's a couple...
Yeah, I have my reservations a little bit about his size there and how he would fit with, J.C. Jackson's like 5'10", 5'11", and then you have the Asante Samuel thing with his size too. But Tyler kind of brought him up, and he's like a guy that can kind of like move all around the field, like a little bit in that what they wanted Chris Harris to do last year. But yeah, I think one of the reasons they kind of passed on McDuffie was also the size concerns a little bit. So then I guess you're taking Marcus Jones with a third instead of a first, of course. But yeah, I do have a couple reservations about the size thing there, and just how they think that would fit in the Staley defense, where it seems like they really value length. I don't know, but we'll figure that out.
We have a big need for a defensive back, but I don't like I almost kind of package them together in Staley's defense, and the safeties are a little positionless in a way, or at least one of them is. And I feel like we have three capable outside cornerbacks right now, and I just want somebody that's going to be, impactful in the slot. Just somebody that can hold up in that run game.
Solo just says, "Well, you just look like a scumbag." That's the best I'm going to get today, so I'll take it.
Man, you guys are brutal.
Jelani Woods to the Colts.
If we go, oh man, I don't want to speak.
Do we think that the Falcons are a sneaky quarterback spot here? I kind of wonder if they go Willis or Ritter here and pull the trigger.
It would make sense. I mean,
Yeah,
Willis would, and again, I didn't really scout the quarterbacks at all because we have no
right.
need to, but would his game be comparable to Mariota? Just their being able to have that run
I think
option?
I think Ritter's game is kind of more comparable to Mariota a little bit in terms
Gotcha.
of what they do. I think Willis is a little bit more dynamic, like in the vein of like a Lamar Jackson type than like a Mariota type.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Jeez. Solo kept going in the comments, man. That's not nice.
That's okay. Let him go for tonight.
Man, we're gonna have a hard decision to make here. Desmond Ritter off the board to Cincinnati. Oh no, sorry. That's his team. The Falcons. You're right. You
Yeah,
nailed
yeah.
it.
I was gonna say, are they replacing Burrow already? Like,
Hey,
damn.
hey, jump the gun there, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, that's I like that pick. I guess I would probably still go with Malik Willis with the upside there, but I think Ritter probably has the higher floor. So I kind of like the pick there.
Didn't he get blasted for not being a very good leader? Like for
Something like that, but he's honestly been like very like cerebral. Like he has like a whole like hour long like thing where he's just like breaking down like all his plays and stuff. So I don't know if he's not a leader. And I mean, he just took Cincinnati to the freaking college football playoff. So
yeah.
yeah, so that always struck me as kind of weird. I don't know.
I just thought there was like a video out there where he was roasting his teammates and being very like.
I don't remember that off the top of my head, but maybe.
That kind of just removed him from. And not that we have a board for a quarterback, but I was like, yeah,
Right.
no need for a guy like that on my team.
Right.
Houston just traded up, somebody said.
Yeah, it looks like Houston is on the board now.
Man, we are just a couple picks away, and there is what I would consider.
A
I would
lot of
see
options.
Raymond. Yeah, I would see Raymond as a guy that could be plugged in and start at right tackle. I see that in Ryan as well. I mean, he might not be the best, but I would see him as an upgrade over what we have
Yeah, I
at
think
right
and
tackle.
then you also probably go with Mitchell as like the ceiling guy a little
Mhm.
bit there. Yeah, still a lot of right tackle options.
And probably a couple linebackers that could go, like a Chanel or a Dean, that would be an upgrade. I mean, I'm just trying to think, like, what are the tiers? Like which position group has the most potential to have somebody that have one of those guys be available in round 4.
In round 4, probably Mitchell would be the most likely to be available in round 4. Because I do think Ryman will go sometime here.
And do you like Mitchell enough to pick him in round 3? Do you think he'd be a day
I
one
like him.
starter with impact? Okay.
I don't know about day one starter, but I think he can. I think he can win a competition with Pipkins and Norton, which is the
Yeah.
qualification to be the day one starter. So I think he can kind of do that.
Yeah.
All right. What do we think the Texans are doing here? Could they be leaping Baltimore for a linebacker? I guess that's possible. I think they might go Nakobe Dean. This sounds like it could be the Dean slot.
I could see that.
But we've been saying that for the last half an hour. So,
yeah,
I mean, eventually we have to be right.
Let's see. At linebacker, I mean, you could be comfortable not picking a Chanel or a Dean, and then there's still somebody like Darian Beavers, if you're okay with him. Jack Sanborn's interesting. Interesting seeing him rated so low because he was pretty good. Still have Winfrey. Zachary Carter is one of those defensive tackles that I was talking about that I think is a Staley guy.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Very quick first step, can get to the gap quickly, and then just dominates with leverage.
Oh, Texans go with linebacker Christian Harris from Alabama.
What?
So they traded up for a non-Nakobe Dean linebacker. Here we go. The fall continues.
Gosh, man, that poor guy. He went to, didn't he go to the draft too? He was in the
I think
room.
he did. I think he did. Yeah, no, he was at the draft with all the Georgia guys.
That breaks my heart, man.
That sucks.
Poor guy.
Chorizo Con Papa says, sucks to say, but the Chiefs have had a great draft. I agree. Sadly, I agree.
That's what the Chiefs do.
Yeah.
They do draft very well.
Yeah. No, and then they take advantage of everyone else's mistakes like they did last year with Creed Humphrey and all those guys that fell. So I can't say I'm too surprised, unfortunately.
It's the most aggravating thing in the world to be so pumped that the Chiefs were having like their both starting tackles leave, their center leave, like their guards, like they had to completely rebuild their offensive line. And then what happens? Oh, they land this amazing center that's the highest rated center in the league in his rookie year. And then a 6th-round pick, or 6th-rounder at right tackle or right guard. I forget if it was right tackle or guard that played just fine. It's like, when the heck have we had something like that happen to us, man? Come on.
Right. And then you just go that whole sequence where they were like 1-3 last year, and then it's like, oh, here comes the downfall of the Chiefs, and then you remember they still have Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
The Ravens, Dean to the Ravens would be that's a Ravens pick if they get him here, and they'll make a lot of people look dumb.
I could definitely. Somebody just said Travis Jones.
Travis Jones to the Ravens?
Yeah.
People are saying. Okay, so that seems like defensive line is probably off the board.
Wow. So, man, that means they didn't trade back in the first, did they? They stayed put and got Hamilton.
Yes,
so,
because the Eagles jumped them.
Eagles jumped them. They missed out on getting Jordan Davis, but they still get a guy that almost had a 1st-round grade, right?
Yeah.
And
great draft for the Ravens so far.
Picked up Hamilton. That's a big deal.
We are now 2 picks away from the Chargers at number 79.
Not only that, but those are like typical Ravens guys too.
Yeah.
Just
fit right into the system seamlessly.
Yeah.
And then you're looking back 2 years from now. It's like, oh, they're already Pro Bowlers.
Sweet
that we missed out on those guys.
It's your Eagles' fault, man.
Yeah. I'm very happy with Jordan Davis, but we may have created a bit of a monster.
Man, it's going down. It's about to happen. Who do we got? Who do we want? Yeah, an interesting guy too could be Nick Cross as that
Nick Cross.
Slot guy, that star defensive back. I had to scroll down pretty far to find my guy Sean Ryan.
Daniel Pomper just tweeted possibilities at 79 after Travis Jones is gone. Perrion Winfrey, Bernard Ryman, Marcus Jones, Tariq Woolen, Dominique Robinson, D'Angelo Malone, and Calvin Austin. So I wonder if he's just trying to throw out a bunch of guys, or just guys that he likes, or guys that he knows about. I'm not sure, but that is an interesting tweet.
Yeah, there is so much talent at positions of need for us.
We have a super chat. I miss Eagles and Chargers legend King Dunlap. That guy was massive. I feel like I've never seen a bigger tackle than him. He was huge.
I got to see him live one time.
Really?
Yeah, I ended up I forget what year it was, but I tore my ACL and meniscus a few years ago.
Oh,
Many years ago. It was pretty brutal. Yeah, but
Oof.
5 days, or we had an opportunity to go to the get on the field at Qualcomm for a game for practice, for warm-ups and everything like that, and stand right by the tunnel. But the catch was, it was like 6 days after my surgery. So
Ooh.
it was like, yeah, I'm doing it. So I just had a little backpack full of like Advil, because I would not take painkillers for it, but
Right.
Advil and all this other crap. But I was like going from station to station. We had like a full package where we had we had an invite to their pregame like happy hour tailgate and box seats, which was killer. It was super fun. But I was like just hopping around areas to like go to the pregame, to have a couple beers to numb it a little bit. Then it was just like it was a rough day. But standing at the gate and watching Dunlap and Franklin, who else did we have at the time? Fluker.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that
Those
line
guys were
was
huge.
beefy. And they you felt the earth move. They were nuts. I remember when we had those guys, I was like, oh my gosh, we're actually going to have like a physically imposing, badass line. And then, yeah, you know the rest. We didn't.
Ravens have taken Travis Jones, like we said.
Someone just said Raymond to the Colts.
That's
Don't do this to me. 5 picks from our pick. No.
Well, 1 pick from our pick now. I mean, if
Well, I mean, like Abraham Lucas too.
yeah,
like
that too. Yeah.
5 picks ago, everything looked so good.
On Wednesday, Liberty's Malik Willis was minus 162 to be the first quarterback taken. Now there have been 2 taken in front of him, and he remains in round 3. Wild.
Oh man, that was a gut punch. I still like Sean Ryan.
Yeah. I think that he's one of those guys that had like I don't know if it was I don't think it was a top 30 visit because he's local, but I think he did have some kind of visit there. I'm kind of hoping for like a Calvin Austin, or Kobe Bryant is still available if they want to go corner here too.
Give me your who you want and who you think they will take.
I kind of want Calvin Austin. I think they'll take a tackle though. I do kind of think they'll double down on offensive line here. Actually, no. I want Calvin Austin. I think they'll take a corner, whether that's Kobe Bryant or someone else. But yeah, the Colts have officially taken Bernard Ryman off the board, and the Browns are on the clock.
This is why I wanted to trade down so badly. There's so much talent still.
I know. Yeah. Let's hope they can still luck out here. Could be a Darian Kennard kind of guy. Falele.
Yeah, Kennard. I didn't even think about Kennard. That guy's
still available.
Man, I wonder if they go cross. That would blow my mind. I think I have a feeling it might be Sean Ryan. But who knows? Bernard Raymond looks like pictures of him when he was a tight end. He looked like he was that dude from Rocky, last Rocky movie.
Yeah, that Ravens luck is crazy. Just how everything falls to them.
That was nuts. Nuts.
Okay, so the Chargers are now on the clock. The Browns have taken Alex Wright.
Ooh, wow. Good for Alex.
Right, so he goes a little bit earlier than we thought he would earlier in the show. And the Chargers are on the clock. Here we go.
I thought getting him in the 4th was kind of early, but doing so to secure him and make sure you get him and then hope to develop him under Bosa and Mac. But now that we don't have that option, is there an edge that you see as a potential day 3 guy we can fall back on?
Not off the top of my head. I feel like Tyler and Steven would probably know that better than me.
It'd be kind of interesting. Chanel on the edge too.
Yeah, no, he definitely has some ability to play edge there. Okay, here we go. Per source, with the 79th overall pick, the Chargers are selecting Baylor defensive back JT Woods. So they do go corner. Okay.
He was a safety, I thought. I thought he was there free safety.
Oh, yeah, well, DB.
DB, yeah.
So he's kind of a safety corner hybrid. Yeah. Little bit of a reach for me. I think you probably could have waited a little bit more on it. I'm fine with it, though. I mean, Staley's always talked about adding secondary. Kind of would have been more in favor of like a Kobe Bryant or somebody like that there. But I haven't watched as much JT Woods as some other people. I know he did have a really good Senior Bowl that kind of like propelled him up draft boards as well. So I think that you kind of have like him kind of leaping like the Mark Webb, Lohi Gilman tier in the safeties, and maybe he'll be kind of the third guy in the Derwin, Adderley, and now JT Woods rotation. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah, I like it if they see him as a guy that can slide in and play free safety to start and move, or strong safety, I guess. But basically to just be that second guy up high with Nasir to allow Derwin to be the star defensive back. If Derwin is playing 70 to 80% of the snaps just outside the box in the slot, I think that turns around our defense exponentially. But this feels like Pipkins is going to be starting, or might be given a lane to start.
Yeah, it is starting to feel like that. I mean, the other thing is JT Woods is really young too. So I mean, I think he's like 20. I think he's 21. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of betting on the upside there and the fact that he has this room to improve. So I do kind of understand the JT Woods pick. But yeah, I think there were other directions they could have gone and maybe waited till safety a little bit later. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Dennis Kelly is still a free agent if they want to attack offensive line there. Seems like they're going to have to get a free agent at this point if they want to avoid a Pipkins Norton competition, which is a disgusting thing that just came out of my mouth. Man.
Yeah, I would feel a lot better about that pick if I knew we had a plan for right tackle. Like if I knew we were going to go.
Feel a lot better about that pick if we had a second round pick. Like that's kind of how I feel about it as well. Or if they took somebody there. Yeah, it does seem like he's a bit of a ball hawk though. So I mean, I think they're just going for guys that can like create easy turnovers. And JT Woods is certainly that's his reputation and sort of what you're drafting him for as well. So yeah. Also has length that they want to, and I know we just talked about length kind of being a concern a little bit with the cornerback group. So I think that having a safety with long arms, long strides as well. I think since 2020 per PFF, 9 interceptions, 1 touchdown allowed, and a 52.2 passer rating when targeted. So has had some pretty good success over there at Baylor.
What I do like is that means that TT and Staley were looking at Baylor games, and maybe there's a chance that Barnes is coming for us in round 5.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also potentially like a Abram Smith, like a running back, if that's a flyer that they want to take later in the draft. But yeah. But I think he kind of slots in as the third safety immediately. I'm curious to see what that means now for the spots of Alohi Gilman and Mark Webb on the roster. That kind of strikes me like probably Alohi Gilman is kind of the odd man out there because, obviously they drafted Mark Webb last year. So, yeah, I don't know. I think one of those two probably doesn't make the cut if you're assuming JT Woods is the third safety now because of where they've taken him and the capital that they've invested.
Oh, dude, this is classic. I'm watching right now on the Hulu stream. The Chargers are announcing the pick with Austin Eckler, and he has a fan with him who's wearing a Nasir Adderley jersey as they announced that they drafted potentially Nasir's replacement next year if they allow Nasir to walk. But
didn't know there were a lot of people in Nasir Adderley jerseys the last couple of years, but I guess Austin Eckler found the guy.
I would love them to it's all like kind of like what we were saying and piggybacking on what you were just mentioning. If our nickel set features 2 cornerbacks and 3 safeties, I like it. Like I would love for Michael Davis to be rotational this year.
Oh yeah.
And for us to have more 3 safety looks, that would make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I hope they get him on the field frequently. Like I hope he's playing 70 to 80% of the snaps, and they just keep rocking the 3 safety thing as much as possible.
Yeah, you mentioned Barnes with the RAS there. JT Woods also had a really high RAS, 9.42. Pretty much only struggled on the bench and had a really high score there. So I think they're looking for those high athletic upside Baylor guys. JT Woods fits that billing so far.
And I don't think if they're committed to him being, I don't want to say like free safety and pushing Nasir to strong necessarily, but if you look at like a traditional nickel set, when you have your star and your money defensive back, I'm comfortable with Adderley coming up and being that money guy too, and leaving JT up high as that rangy deep guy, because Adderley comes up and he's very willing in the box, man. Like he does play that run D pretty well. So on those, very light box sets where we have a lot of DBs on the field, bringing both Adderley and James close to the line of scrimmage, I think would be a plus.
Apparently, the guy in the Nasir Adderley jersey is a Chargers YouTuber called FaZe Rug. I have no idea who that is. He probably has no idea who I am, so I think we're even. But I have no idea who that is. FaZe Rug has his own G Fuel. Am I supposed to know what the fuck that means?
What's a G Fuel? Is that like a car?
Is it gamer fuel? Is it something like that? I don't know.
No idea. Strange. I hate that I'm going to have to go to bed tonight without knowing what happens in round 4.
The anxiety until 12 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes. Oh man. What would you grade it? What would you say?
I see the thing that I kind of want to ding it on is that it is like a little bit early, but also this round has just been completely random as a whole, where, you know, we just had Alex Wright and we were like, oh, fourth round, and he just goes early in the third. So, you know, I think at this point, this is kind of where you start getting into like the positions don't matter so much in terms of like where you draft a guy. I think they probably could have waited, but if they really like him, I'll say B. That's kind of how I'm feeling about this pick in general. I think they could have gone for more direct need, but if they really do view him as potential Nas replacement in the third safety this year, I do think that is a pretty pivotal role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. What I think we can be grateful for is it seems like a pick that Staley probably had influence on. It does seem like kind of a position to need in Staley's mind. Like we need that third defensive, or we need that third safety. It makes I'm hopeful that like we were mentioning, this is going to mean Derwin's going to be playing closer to the line of scrimmage and can tear stuff up. So that's great. I hope it doesn't mean Nasir is getting replaced though, because I really like his growth and what he provides. He is that very, like we were saying, very willing run defender that we need in this defensive scheme that only has one or two interior line, like middle linebackers, you know, like we run pretty light with our linebackers. So we need guys in the secondary that are willing to tackle.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Nasir's in the last year of his contract, right? Because he was drafted 2019. So, I mean, it seems like this is kind of the replacement. Also, Adderley obviously drafted by the previous coaching regime. So I could sort of see if they want to put I was gonna say they want to put JT Woods in like a sort of Rams John Johnson-y kind of role. That could also be a possibility as well. So we'll see what happens. Apparently that FaZe Rug guy has 20 million subs, so hopefully he brings in more Chargers fans. We have 5,000 subs, so small fish in the pond. I FaZe, if you want to come, I don't know how this works with gamers.
Neither do I. I have no idea. I game, but I don't stream it.
Yeah, no. I don't play any of those competitive games. I play like Pokemon games that are like 10 years old. So that's kind of my market.
I'm just playing football games, man. Which is terrible because Madden is trash. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We need to bring NFL 2K back.
Dude.
Gotta get some competition going.
During the peak of the restlessness that came with COVID and the initial lockdown phase, I went and bought a 2K NFL 2K5 from Amazon or something, and I was so stoked to get playing it. And I like set up. I dug out my Xbox 360 out of the garage and set it up in the bedroom. I was like, yes, this is going to be wonderful. And then it was some recreation that didn't really work, or like copycat game. I was so bummed.
Updating on some of the picks that have happened since: the Broncos take everyone's guy, UCLA tight end Greg Dulcich. So he is off the board. The Giants go with Cordell Flott, cornerback from LSU. And Steven mentioned D'Angelo Malone in the third round, actually, when we were mock drafting, and the Falcons just took him at edge. And now the Eagles are on the clock again. So I don't get much of a break after the Chargers pick, I guess.
Man, oh man. I hope we are active and free.
Are they going to go to Kobe Dean? Are they going to go to Kobe Dean? Please tell. Oh my God. Please tell me they're going to go to Kobe Dean. I'm going to flip my shit.
Somebody just said they did. Somebody just said they did.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, the pick is in. Ah. The Eagles drafted Kobe Dean in the third round. Okay.
You guys are having a draft.
Okay. I am fine with that. JT Woods, I'm fine with that. And I'm very okay with Nakobe Dean. Don't care what's wrong with his pecs. We can fix it. I am good. Woo. Wow. That I forgot he was still on the board because we were just like, nah, the Chargers aren't going to take him. So I honestly put it out of my mind that he was on the board.
That is crazy.
Kobe Dean is the Eagle.
So who else have you picked besides Jordan Davis and Kobe Dean? Who is the
AJ Brown, and they
refresher.
took Cam Jurgens, the center.
Gotcha. Okay,
in
that's
round
right.
2.
That's right. Cam, got it.
Trizo Con Papa says JT can't tackle, so 33 will be closer to the box. I don't know if he had a tackling problem. I don't know if that was the thing coming out of college per se. I think Steven and Tyler might know that a little bit better than I do.
I'll look that up. Just on a scouting report.
JT Woods missed tackle rate. Let's see if he has a problem. Tyler probably has this on some spreadsheet somewhere. Does say some limited tackling problems in general. High rate of missed tackles. Ooh, okay. So then, yeah, that is apparently what it's saying over here on SI. So, I mean, that's probably why he'll be playing more deep than up front.
Yeah.
Missed 14 tackles last year alone. What's the sample size on those tackles so we can calculate the missed tackle rate? Let me find that.
That's a strange, that's again a strange replacement for
Nasir Adderley, who's a pretty surefire tackler.
Yeah.
Did have so he had 57 tackles last year. So if he had 14, so 14 divided by 71. That's a 19.7 missed tackle rate. Okay, that's a little higher than I would want. Yeah, so they're probably going to be playing him not closer to the box, so they let Adderley and Derwin work closer, and then I guess they're probably going to play him deep. But yeah, I think he's still going to be more that ball hawk guy as well, so that kind of means he has to play closer. But yeah.
Man, yeah. I would have thought Nick Cross would have been more of a Staley guy personally, just because of his speed and his tackling, his ability to run through would-be blockers and get to the running back is pretty exceptional. But man, I don't know. Don't know about that. Like you said, if he's floating back there deep in Nasir and it brings both Nasir and Derwin closer to the line of scrimmage, then it's all good. But
yeah.
Thought we could have found a third safety though a little bit later.
Yeah, no, I think they probably could have waited a little bit on it. Taking like a corner here, taking a wide receiver, or even like a DT, or offensive tackle. So I think there were positions that were more daunting, but if Staley wants his guy, I'm not gonna argue with it. But that's why I'm more of like a B on this pick than like an A for sure.
Mm-hmm. Wonder who might still be available to us. You guys were really high on Hayes, right? Marquise,
yeah,
Marcus or Marquise?
Marquise Hayes, yeah.
Marquise, yeah.
He's a pancake machine. I like that guy quite a bit. I know Tyler is like in love with him. He had him in his like top 5 interior offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, he's definitely got some pop to him. So that could be a potential day 3 guy if he makes it there. DeMarvin Leal to the Steelers after Nakobe Dean goes to the Eagles.
Man, I guess that's why I would like to see Filer pushed out to right tackle, because you can bring in somebody like Hayes and put him at left guard and let him benefit from Slater and Lindsley's Lindsley's leadership and Slater's just exceptional ability.
Yeah.
I didn't like having that right side of the line as a liability, as just an entire liability mentality last year. Although Schofield did well and O'Day as well. Like I like actually both of those guys, but the drop off as he went from left tackle to right tackle along the line was just very frustrating.
Right. Marcus Jones goes to the Patriots, like we were just talking about earlier.
The Patriots are going to have a very questionable first round pick. That's, production's going to be very strange. And then they're going to knock it out of the park with the rest of their picks.
Production's literally going to be very strange.
Hey.
Yeah. Heyo. Channing Tindall in round 4. If he falls, similar body type to a Kenny Young from the Rams. Maybe. I think he probably fits the bill a little bit more than Nakobe Dean did, for sure. If they want to go in that direction. Titans are on the clock. Teams had concerns about Nakobe Dean's size and the fact he didn't run at his pro day. So, had a pectoral injury that teams evaluated, but independent doctors sent letters to teams clearing him and classifying the injury as a pec strain as opposed to a pec tear. That's what Jeremy Fowler just said.
That's just getting better and better news for you, man.
Yeah. I can't believe they got Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. It was wild.
That's a wild draft.
Yeah.
I am ordering dinner. This has been awesome. I didn't know how long the draft was going to go, and I didn't even think about making sure I had something to eat afterwards.
I last ate at 3 p.m. So here we are. The Titans pick is in. Oh, wow. Malik Willis to the Titans. So now, so Ritter just went to the Falcons, and then Malik Willis finally comes off the board and is a Tennessee Titan. So Ryan Tannehill eventually going to be out of there.
They're really not trying to support him this year, are they?
Yeah, they take away AJ Brown and now draft Malik Willis. It's kind of waving the white flag on this Vrabel era. I mean, a little bit. It seems like they're just looking to the future. Not that I don't think that's the wrong decision, but I mean, they're a team that could still be a playoff team this year for sure if they had kind of done the draft a little bit better, and still can be a playoff team. But taking Malik Willis right here is direct indictment on Ryan Tannehill and what his future is.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not seeing them take one more shot with Ryan, especially in a weak quarterback class, and get a stud running. What they really need is a stud running back. I feel like to back or to be 1B to. There's no 1A 1B in that situation, but to spell Henry. They were bringing guys off the street to spell him last year or to fill in when he was hurt, and I don't know. They should just, if I were them, I would just stay committed to their game plan. What they're doing right now is a run first team, but give somebody that can give another look. or keep going on that offensive line. Man, yeah.
From Kimberly Martin, the Panthers' pursuit of Baker Mayfield continues to heat up. The Browns quarterback could end up in Carolina by tonight or this weekend.
Wow. Huh.
So it seems like Carolina is in on Baker.
Daniel called you out in the chat for being more excited about the Eagles than the Chargers.
Look, one team took JT Woods and one team took Nakobe Dean. What do you want me to say? I like JT Woods. Good player. I think he's a little bit of a reach at this point, but I still think he projects well as the third safety in this rotation. The other team took a guy that was supposed to go in the first round. What do you want me to say?
Oh man.
If the Chargers took Nakobe Dean, I would be react the same way. Although he plays a little bit differently in that kind of defense. What do you want me to say? It's JT Woods. I like him. Should have gone Kobe Bryant if you wanted a little bit more excitement.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Or just secure that right tackle spot so we never have to think about it again.
Take Max Mitchell. I probably would have been a little bit more excited than JT Woods. I'm not poo-pooing JT Woods. Good player.
Max could be there in the fourth too.
Oh yeah, Max Mitchell could be in the fourth too as well. If he slides far enough.
Someone just threw out Algier too. He's somebody I've mocked in the fifth repeatedly. But
yeah, I think me and Tyler watched Algier film, but Steven refused to watch any BYU guys. So he decided not to watch Algier. But I'd like to see him. I missed out.
Somebody just said he might even be a fifth rounder. It's like, yeah, Max is one of those guys that might be a high value guy late, which would turn things around. That's the problem with doing live reactions, right? We don't know how it's going to play out, what's going to happen. And then if that happens, if we get somebody that can at least provide a decent camp battle, maybe and be my dream would be Trey Pipkins gains 15 pounds muscle and has a decent year and then leaves and nets us a compensatory pick. That would be my dream, but we'll see. Right. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how these picks are going to pan out. So when JT Woods is inducted into the Hall of Fame as a Charger and you bring up me poo-pooing him 15 years ago, I will happily accept it. And I'm supporting JT Woods. We all wanted to be good. I think that they could have probably waited on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could use our comp pick to trade back up into the third. I guess if they did like a fourth plus like a six got him back into the third? Maybe in the back end there? I don't know.
I don't think so. I have
Yeah, if you have the trade chart.
Pull it up.
Yeah, I think they're probably done for tonight.
So let's say back of the third, like compensatory rounds.
Yeah, and compensatory, like let's say between like 95 to 105.
We'll just say like 100 because the trade value for that is 100, which is funny. We would have to trade, and our fourth rounder is pick 123.
Yeah.
So we'd have to, that's only 49 points. So we'd have to do the fourth rounder and a fifth, and a sixth.
Ooh, fourth, a fifth, and a sixth.
Yeah.
I don't think they bite on that.
That's just quick mental math, but it's right around there. Yeah, that would be rough. Let me see.
So this is from Tom Pelissero, more specifically on Ryan Tannehill's contract. He's due $29 million this year and then $27 million non-guaranteed in 2023. So, yeah, I mean, the Malik Willis pick kind of makes sense if they're leaning towards blowing it up.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So actually I didn't locate the actual picks for round 5 and 6 because that would have been difficult. I don't have it written down right now, but I just went kind of like top third of both those rounds since there's compensatories to factor in too. But if our fourth paired with, a mid fifth and a mid sixth only gets you to 63 points of draft capital, and that third is 100 points of draft capital.
Ooh.
So
yeah.
we probably would, just in terms of like how these numbers work out, we'd probably have to part with like our entire draft to move up, because those last round picks are viewed as just from the trade charts perspective worthless, which is kind of why I like trading down so much.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to end up happening tonight. Okay, couple updates. We had Malik Willis go to Tennessee, obviously. Cameron Thomas to San Diego State, to Arizona from San Diego State. Dallas picks a wide receiver, Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama. So now the Bills are up on the clock.
What would be more likely if we were to trade up, I think, would be trading away like a fourth this year and a fourth next year, and then something sprinkled on, or maybe even a fourth this year and a third next year.
This comes from Charger Paul. Who do you like at 123? Kyle, Max Mitchell, any of those guys? I guess we're kind of specifically talking about offensive tackle here, since they still have not addressed that.
Yeah, I think Mitchell would be one of my guys. If Sean Ryan continues falling, I would run to the podium for Sean Ryan. And again, I would probably prefer. I would be open to. I wouldn't let it prevent me from drafting him if I don't believe moving Filer to right tackle is an option. I still think he could be a great right tackle, but I think the best setup there would be Slater, Ryan, Lindsley, Johnson, and Filer. I think that lineup would be deadly. I hope he continues to fall. If not,
oh, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just give us all the offensive tackle options in round 4. So the Chargers are picking at 123 again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we have about 30 picks or so to go until then. Buffalo Bills go with Terrell Bernard from Baylor, linebacker.
I don't see them picking a guy like Daniel. How do you say his last name?
Falele?
Falele, yeah. I don't think that's a pick for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think we like our guys a little bit, a little more agile, able to move.
Yeah.
I like your Kellen
Deesh
pick. I like that. What do you think about Braxton Jones?
I don't know a ton about him, to be honest. That one I don't know a lot about. So this comes from Steven, who tweeted the account. JT Woods allowed a passer rating of just 55.7 when targeted last season and 64.5 across his whole career. Baylor 9 interceptions in the last 2 years. Coverage skills are top notch. I don't disagree with the coverage and the ball hawk nature, but every time Tyler or me and Steven did composite rankings, we were just like, what's the guy's missed tackle rate? And 20% is pretty alarmingly high. But they can kind of mediate that or alleviate that by playing him deeper, I guess, and then just kind of letting Derwin and Nasir do the dirty work as much as possible. But there's still going to be times where he has to tackle.
I know you guys were bigger on like Gene Deline. That's how you say his
Gene
name, I think.
DeLance.
Gene Delance. Yeah, sorry. I didn't have his name pulled up. For some reason, he's not on this board that I'm looking at. But you guys liked him a lot. So is that somebody that you think?
Yeah. I mean, he had
compete?
a top 30 visit with the Chargers as well. So yeah, I think that he's someone that could compete certainly in that Norton Pipkins category.
Mm-hmm. The Raiders brought up their cheerleaders for the pick. This is a family broadcast.
It's a funny story. I went to the Chargers-Giants game in East Rutherford in 2017, and I had no idea that the Giants didn't have cheerleaders because the Mara family just like doesn't believe in them. And
Yeah.
I went to that game with my mom. And my mom was like, where are the cheerleaders? Where are they supposed to be? Because she wanted to see the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just Googled it. And I was like, oh, they don't have any. So yeah, they're one of the few NFL teams that doesn't have them. So
That's interesting.
that was
I never knew that.
Yeah, no, the Mara family, they believe in, like you just joked, like they have to be a classy organization and all that.
Dylan Parham just went off the board
to the Raiders. Yep.
It's a good pick for them.
Someone brought up JT Woods' missed tackle rate and then said, let's bet on the other 81% of the 19. So, do the Chargers have cheerleaders? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah, they definitely have. I don't know if they've been at games the last few years with COVID and stuff. But yeah. From Daniel Popper, JT Woods said he mostly played in the deep part of the field at Baylor as a free safety. Also covered tight ends one-on-one, played some in the box and defended the slot. Said he's yet to have any conversations with the Chargers about playing outside CB. So I think that is very much they view him as that third safety as opposed to any kind of outside corner. Yeah.
That's fine. If that's what we're gonna do,
Yep.
that is a-okay. If the funniest thing about all this that I always remind myself too is like I think our team has one of the highest ceilings right now in the league. Like
Right.
all of this could be so redundant with
Oh,
Mac and Bosa being on the field together at the same time. Like it's going to be fun to watch if they are able to stay healthy for the playoffs. Like I really think that the sky's the limit for this team. So who knows? But I still want to protect our franchise quarterback and get him a right tackle.
For sure. Yeah.
No, Packers got Sean Ryan.
Oh!
Brandon in the chat, you're my dude right now, keeping us updated, and I appreciate you.
Ooh, Tyler's heart ripped out. The Buccaneers just got Rashad White. That's his running back one right there.
That's a good pick for the pack.
Alex, does this sneak peek the vision Staley has it all in next season? I mean, yeah, their vision is to be versatile on defense, and they just got a safety who's versatile and is going to play that deep safety along with Nasir Adderley and Durbin playing in the front. So more safeties. I mean, that is a more versatile defense, regardless of whether you think, JT Woods was the guy for that or not. Yeah. So the Buccaneers went with Rashad White. Packers went with Sean Ryan. So not going to make it to the 4th round.
Man, I want more picks. Give us more picks. I was surprised, Alex, that they never tried switching Kaiser White back to safety and having him be more of that star defender. That
kind of surprised me too. And I wonder if they had tried doing that, if he'd still be on the team, honestly. If they had made that change. But yeah, as a linebacker, they just didn't value him for whatever reason, because he put up the production, but they still couldn't find it in their wallets to pay him $2.5 million. I don't know, but
I really think it's that physical prototype thing that we were talking about.
For sure.
Like
for sure.
He was not bulky enough to really hold up. But if that's the case, try him outside. Try him, in that slot spot. It's not like he's playing man coverage out there. We're playing his zone, so he's not going to have to follow Tyreek down the field. We'll see. Somebody just said, James C. just said, yeah, I thought White should have been in the Adrian Phillips role. I was like, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you're just purely going off JT Woods' tape, then I think I'm a little bit lower on this pick. If you're going off his RAS score and his attributes and the ball hawk nature of it, then, I think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah. He was top 3 in penalties, interceptions, and touchdowns allowed, but then missed tackle rating and coverage are really the issues.
Alex? You there, buddy? I think I may have almost disconnected for a little bit there or something. Am I still on? Are we okay?
Oh, seems like I froze for a second there.
Oh, you're
now
back.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I am back. All right.
I will say when I was watching the Baylor tape, I did like Kalen Barnes better than JT Woods. And that might get me roasted, but I really thought Barnes has potential to take over as like a, number 1 cornerback. I'm really interested if people watched that film, if anyone in the comments has done more research on Barnes, because it was hard to get a hold of a lot of film on him or see the games. But if they got JT, I really, really hope that they were watching and are going to go get Barnes as well.
Someone asked in the chat who had a higher RAS score between Barnes and JT. I believe Barnes had a higher RAS score by 0.21. I think one was a 9.6. Barnes was a 9.63. JT was a 9.42, something like that.
Yeah.
49ers take LSU running back Tyrion Davis-Price. Okay. Not a name that I know. It comes off before Jerome Ford and a lot of those guys that we've talked about.
Yeah.
And now the Panthers have traded up. Is it time for Panthers QB?
Oh man. So did they just get shut down from the Browns? Did they say no to trading Baker? Is that why they're trading up?
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, because we just talked about the Baker thing. So Fowler seemed to insinuate in a tweet. He just said Carolina Panthers are trading into the late third round for source. Could be time for a QB. So that would have to be Matt Corral, I'd assume. Don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you draft Matt Corral and you already have Sam Darnold, then the Baker thing is done. Even though they just said it could have happened 2 hours ago, unless they work out Sam Darnold to be part of that Baker trade. But then Sam Darnold wouldn't want to be behind Deshaun Watson. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this.
I definitely think it's yeah, I don't know. I do not know. That's Darnold. Did you see Darnold on the Titans? What is that? Bussin' with the Boys podcast?
No, I didn't see that. Did he say anything?
Just had an awkward interview where he's like, I know I can be a good quarterback, or I know I'm a good quarterback, or I know I can be a good quarterback. I was just like, oh man.
I'm not going to get mono this time.
Oh man. Yeah, I love how Colin Cowherd just roasts Baker at every opportunity and just casually lets people forget. Tries to let people forget that he was banging the table for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, every time he brought up Sam Darnold, he was like, he's a real blue collar tree trunk for arms kid. Like, I was like, what?
Thick.
Like,
thick.
Thick cut. Yeah, he has a way of talking about with prospects, but it's why he's popular, I guess. I don't know. Casey says in the chat, I think the only way where the Panthers take Baker is if the Browns take Darnold. So I guess that's a swap for swap, maybe contract wise. I don't know, because I guess they're both in the same stage of their contract really at this point. But it seems like the money would be kind of negligible since I don't know.
Why is that? Why do they think? Casey, why do you think that? Keep typing away. I would think that the Panthers picking up Darnold. I mean, backup quarterbacks still make decent enough money. Like, look at what Mariota signed for. Look at who else? Trubisky. They both signed for, I think, plus 10 mil a year, right? And they're given the opportunity to start, but that could be. It's probably around a fourth or a fifth compensatory pick to their teams that let them go. So if the Panthers were to collect both of those guys, Stafford and Baker, I mean, has a pretty good chance for coming back to form when he's not injured anymore. So I wouldn't mind having both of those guys while you're rebuilding for the sole purpose of collecting compensatory picks.
Yeah. They would both be, if they were drafted in 2018, then both on their 5th-year options. So.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that makes sense then. I didn't realize that. I thought we were in their 4th year.
Oh, yeah.
You're
So
right.
if they're in their 5th-year options, then yeah, I guess you do have to swap for swap.
That's a lot of money. Yep. Good call, Casey. Gonna look that up real quick. How much?
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 4 or 5 years. And yeah, the Panthers did end up going with Matt Corral. So that one is finished.
Yeah, Baker's hits 19 mil. So
yeah.
That I would not do. I would not carry both of those.
No. Shit. Honestly, if I'm the Browns, unless I'm getting like significant compensation, I might just let him like Ben Simmons it for a year. I don't know. I mean, some team's gonna have to absorb 20 million of Baker Mayfield. That's, I mean, not bad if you want like a starter, but I don't know.
The Panthers do have 30 million in cap space right now, which is interesting.
Yeah. Want to spend 70% of that on Baker Mayfield? Be my guest. But yeah, it seems like they're. Yeah. I don't know. I would say that that's a situation Baker doesn't want to be in, but then again, he doesn't really have much of a choice. Kyle, what hair product are you using for your hair? It looks fantastic.
You guys are making the lighting make my face turn red again. I forget the name of the brand. I apologize. But I have a buddy that I'm looking it up right now, so I make sure I plug it for him. One of my good friends' family is in the hair product industry. So it's called Euphora, and it's based out of Carlsbad.
Euphora.
Euphora, yeah. I'll spell that out when I can.
Ooh, the Colts have traded up and are now on the board.
That's interesting. I wonder who they're moving for.
Could be one of these teams moving up for Calvin Austin, I guess, at some point. Kyle uses the same brand as Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
My wife just called me. My beautiful, amazing wife just called me, and I told her I'm still on the stream, sweetheart, and she's gonna hop on right now to her favorite thing, me getting roasted for Jake Gyllenhaal comments, and she's gonna just be dying laughing.
You know what? I was thinking you do look a little bit like Alex Smith. You got like, I think you're like somewhere between like an Alex Smith and a Jake Gyllenhaal.
There's one photo I have from a work thing where I was suited up, and I just randomly got blasted that photo from one of my friends, one of the guys that came over last night, and a photo of Alex Smith, and they looked pretty close. Yeah. If I wear, on some days there's similarities there, I guess, certain lighting or something. But yeah, that's the game we're playing now. We're off the draft now, and we're just on look-alike and doppelgangers.
Bengals just took Zachary Carter, defensive end from Florida. Wasn't particularly high on him, but you know.
Thought he would have been good in our scheme, but I had him going in the if we were to pick him, it was like 4th round.
Fourth, 5th. Yeah. Just not a lot of like high athletic upside, but I think the right scheme could kind of make him pop.
Mm-hmm.
Colts take Nick Cross. So that is kind of the option that we were thinking for the Chargers. Maybe that is now off the board.
Yeah, that is a bummer. It doesn't matter now because we already have our safety. We weren't going to get another one. But.
Yeah. Now the Lions are on the board. Cam asks, was it tough filming Brokeback Mountain? I don't know why that broke me. Austin.
Just pivoted so hard there. And
Austin asks, haven't seen much of the new safety, JT Woods. Is he a day one starter? Also, was he a guy you guys hoped for? Well, we said about 50 names for round 3, and he wasn't one of them. So he wasn't who we were hoping for, but I do think he is good. Day one starter, I mean, yeah, I think he figures into that 3 safety rotation. So by that definition, with James, Adderley, and then him, I think he is a starter, and they probably phase out one of Gilman or Webb, and either of them are probably used for depth at this point.
I think like a way to answer that could be he won't be the starter on the depth charts that we see posted, but he'll probably be playing 50% of the snaps or more.
Yeah.
Gilman could definitely be on the move. I was really surprised that they didn't play Gilman in Harris's spot instead, because he's at least a willing run defender. But
that's true. Yeah, I think Gilman is just, being prior coaching administration. I think that Staley just didn't show him much love, and then they took Mark Webb. But then that was kind of also counterproductive in a way because both of them got hurt, unfortunately.
And I love you guys too. It's okay to roast. It's all fun and games.
What do you think Tyler and Steven will say about JT Woods? I can hear both of them saying I'm a little disappointed. Tyler actually posted a video, said he was pretty leaning positive on it. I don't know what Steven's take on JT Wood is. I would imagine they're both kind of right in the line here.
I'm pretty sure Steven's take on Woods is I love Zion Johnson. That's probably
that's Steven's take on JT Woods.
Yeah,
he's still on cloud 9, so I don't know if he can give you an honest review of JT Woods for like at least 5 weeks. But yeah.
He is.
He seemed to be less concerned about JT Woods after the JT Woods tweet where he said it's a fine pick. He said, "Fuck the NFL for always going to commercial when the Chargers are picking," which is something they do. They do that, but.
Let's see. Any more updates?
Lions pick is in. Commanders are on the clock.
It's useless pondering over, letting it rack your brain too much, but I gotta wonder if Raymond or Lucas lasted a couple more picks if we would have pulled the trigger.
Yeah, particularly Raymond. I just think with how, although he's kind of he's very much the opposite of JT Woods in terms of age, but in terms of like how much they could have kind of mined out of there with how much he hasn't played the position, that could have been one.
And there's still some guys there, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's not the end of the world yet, guys.
No.
My wife is now watching, guys. She wants to join you in roasting me as well, but she doesn't have a YouTube account, it sounds like. So I'm safe. I'm safe. Thank goodness.
Hi, Kyle's wife.
Her name is Zaina, and she is the best.
Hi,
I'm a
Zaina.
very lucky guy. She's on her she's on a combined work trip and family trip, or we're
Ooh.
about to be an aunt and uncle for the first time,
Oh, wow.
and she's visiting her.
Congratulations.
Hey, thank you, man. She's visiting her sister and family. It threw them a baby shower basically, and then she's busy for this weekend. She's prepping for a conference out in Florida. So it's been a weird 10 days without my wife. I miss her very much.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be an aunt or an uncle anytime soon. I am an only child, so it would be pretty difficult to
Yeah.
it would be pretty difficult to be an aunt or an uncle. But yeah.
She dropped a very rare explicitive on me through text,
What'd you say?
saying that she is making one now. So okay,
Oh,
here we
okay.
go.
She's making a Google account. Hit us with
Yeah.
hit us with the super chat, Zaina. The Lions just took Kirby Joseph from Illinois. I kind of like that pick for them.
Yeah, that was a guy I thought might have been a schemer for us, but
Yeah.
I'm thrown off by the JT Woods pick a little bit because I just thought there were options late for that role.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. I like the player and like the upside, but more so the role I think is a little bit more niche compared to some of the other obviously positions they could have got here. But yeah.
If we were to talk about how it could be a home run pick, like what could happen that makes it look like a brilliant move by TT and Staley, I think would be if Webb does perform as that third safety or as a sub guy that comes on at a level that that it basically is the guy that Staley drafted him to be, and all of a sudden our three safeties can be Woods, Derwin, and Webb, and Nasir can walk and maybe get us a fourth round comp pick after he walks. I mean, all of a sudden that starts to make more sense, but that might be a stretch. We got to see what we have in Webb as well.
Yeah, I mean, also I think if you can situationally put JT Woods a little bit in like the Chris Harris role from last year, obviously I don't think they'll do it a lot. But if you can do that, sometimes I think that would make the pick pretty good as well. But would have to be better as a tackler. My only hesitation is if he just improves as a tackler, like I think that's 70% of the way to this being like a home run pick. But Commanders take Brian Robinson, running back from Alabama.
That's a good pick for them, I think. Back in the third for Brian.
They still have Antonio Gibson. I was about to say Alfred Morris. I was like, no, they still have Antonio Gibson. Fuck.
There you go. Kyle's wife has entered, or the wife has entered the chat. I love Bug.
Oh god. From Kelsey, what position do we think they take at 123?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I would guess because they went defense here that they'll go. I'll go offensive tackle. I do think they do it in the fourth round.
What would be wild is Calvin Austin's still on the board.
Ooh, that's if Calvin Austin lasts till 123, or even if what would it cost to go from like 123 to like 115? What would kind of the cost of like something like that be if they wanted to go up like 5 to 10? Yeah, I don't think that's too bad.
It would probably be a future. I could see a future pick for that.
Yeah. because that
like
could be
next
something
year's
like
fifth or
if Calvin
something.
Austin's really starting to slide, that might be one where I think you move up and try to grab him just in terms of BPA.
So let's see, we're at 123. So that's 49. Let's say we need to move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. It's only it's between like a 7 and 9 point differential. So that's really like that'd be like throwing one of the sixes, basically.
Yeah. I do that in a heartbeat.
Like a later six too, like 195 would be a slight overpay. And I agree with you right there. Like those are the kind of like trade up lights that make a lot more sense than a really big move that requires a lot of capital.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the type of moves that you see a Bill Belichick make because they have so many extra picks. You know, when you have extra picks to play with, it's easy to do that. Dude, everyone's so nice in the comments, man. You guys rock. Let's be a little sweet to Zaina. That makes me happy. Thank you, guys.
They're really nice to everyone except me on the show. I mean, it's really baffling. I put up with you shitheads all the time. Casey asks, can Austin catch heaters from Herbert, or is he a body catcher because of his size? I don't think he's a body catcher. I think he has really good hands. I actually think he's particularly good at just making catches in traffic and catching away from his body more so than being a body catcher, despite his size. So I don't think that's much of a concern at all. Screw you too, Alex. Yes, Alex is a douche. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Love you guys too. Do you see DL or offense next round? If I'm going between defensive line, if I'm going between interior defensive line and offense, I would say offense just because I don't know if the value's there at interior defensive line anymore. With Travis Jones probably off the board. Although they could go with like a Neil Farrell type player. They want to do that. I know they met with him. Alex is my favorite person on the show, even more than Steven. Wow. We love to hear that every day.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go make sure I get my Uber Eats just delivered. I'm going to go throw it in the fridge.
No problem. I'll update you on the picks when you get back.
Thanks, brother.
All right. We do have the Cardinals who have taken Myjai Sanders. So now the Jets are on the board. So that's another edge that is gone for the Chargers potentially on day 4. Austin asks, what are the odds that we draft punter tomorrow? This goes back to the Ariza question. I don't think they're going to take someone like a Matt Ariza. I think they wait on that. I could see someone like a Jordan Stout in the 6th if they really do take a punter. And Tom Telesco did tell J.K. Scott that they would bring in a punter as well. So I'll say like 30-35%.
Did we win the Super Bowl while I was gone?
No, we did not win the Super Bowl, sadly, while we were gone. The Cardinals did draft Myjai Sanders from Cincinnati. So that is an edge off the board.
Got it.
Alex, apparently there's a source that says that Steven is being drafted to play right tackle next round. So I'd love to see it. I don't think his knees would love to see it though. At this stage of his career.
Robert Griffin seems like a pretty excellent broadcaster to me, or whatever you'd call his
Yeah,
role, reporter right now. Or he's
yeah,
got. I was watching him last night. And I was really impressed.
yeah. I like him a lot. Is he? I think he was on what show was he on? I've seen him on a couple episodes of the ESPN studio show NFL Now or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, he's very well spoken. You mentioned Braxton Jones, so I'll let you talk about that one. How would you feel about Braxton Jones potentially in the 4th?
Yeah, I didn't dive too deep in the woods on him. If we do go with that pick, I'm hoping that they saw more than I did. There were other guys that I liked more. I'd probably look for Max Mitchell over him, but let's
Yeah,
say
I think so as well.
if Max is gone, I'd be okay with it if they picked him. I'd feel better about Braxton Jones' upside than I would Pipkins at this point.
Right. Jets just took Jeremy Ruckert, tight end from Ohio State. So now I think, is that the second tight end off the board? Oh no, we had which tight end did we have in round 2? Oh, we had I'm trying to think of just the tight ends that we had so far.
That number one guy, forget who you were saying he was.
Oh, McBride.
Yeah,
Trey McBride. Then we had Dulcich, and then I think we now have Jeremy Ruckert, who just went. Oh, Jelani Woods also went. So we've had 4 tight ends, I think, go so far.
The Uber Eats order was sushi because somebody asked. So, yeah.
What kind of roll?
What Rainbow, Dynamite, and then California.
Ooh.
Just to have this little filler. Filler is needed. I love my sushi. We started doing that HelloFresh thing. Have you ever tried that?
I've never tried it, but I've seen tons of YouTube ads for it.
Congrats, HelloFresh, you're getting a plug. We've been making those dinners together, and that has been a lifesaver. We love HelloFresh. But when I don't have my partner in crime with me cooking, I've been doing a little bit of eating out. So mostly delivery, actually. But
yeah. I don't think they have HelloFresh down here, so I don't think that's an
so
option for me, sadly. No. I think we lost Kyle for a second. All right, let's go back to the draft. The Dolphins pick is in. The Chiefs are now on the board. Let me just make sure Kyle's okay and he can jump back in for the end here. There's Kyle. There you go.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what just happened.
Not sure what happened either.
Yeah.
Jorge asked Alex what country you're in. I feel like we talk about this every episode, but I am in Antigua for medical school. Miami Dolphins just took Channing Tindall. So we just talked about linebacker. So the other Georgia linebacker, or like the 3rd or 4th Georgia linebacker in this class, goes.
How did you feel about Sanders? I actually thought he was going to go a little earlier than that.
I thought he was going to go earlier, but there was weird stuff about him with his weight initially during the Senior Bowl, because he lost like 20 pounds or something, and then didn't have the best Senior Bowl, but then he bulked up back for his pro day. So I think that was kind of like the weird thing that caused the hype train to kind of get stopped on him.
Gotcha.
But I liked him. I think I had him as like my edge 8 or something like that. So I think it's definitely good value if you're in the 3rd round for him.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are on the board.
Great.
Let's see if we can guess which guy we like that they'll take.
Dude, if they go and just take Calvin Austin right now, I
I'll
will
be
have
so
a
pissed.
fit. I will
Calvin
have a
Austin.
fit.
If they have Calvin Austin and Sky Moore, I think we just have to quit the podcast. I
Yeah.
think the podcast is done. We're postponing till 2023.
We're the bad luck. We're the problem. Yes.
Oh,
That would be brutal.
Some people in the chat are saying it's Leo Chenal, which would be a big blow.
No!
Guys.
No!
Oh, the Chiefs are fucking killing this draft.
Are you kidding me?
This sucks ass. Oh.
That is awful.
So, okay, just to recap
Oh.
what the Chiefs day 2 haul is. So they got
that is nuts.
They got Sky Moore. They got Brian Cook. And then in round 3, obviously, oh, I didn't click round 3 yet. I think was this their only pick in round 3? No, they must have had one before then.
That's a strong reload for them.
Leo Chenal. And then they had to Karlaftis and McDuffie yesterday.
Oh wow! So you're telling me they have in the first almost 100 picks, first 103 picks, they brought in 3 or 4 defensive players?
Yeah. That's certainly one way to rebuild that defense. Absolutely.
Dude. That's is nuts.
That's concerning.
Well, I get to watch. He's not on our team, but I still get to watch him next year. I guess that's nice.
And then Michael Peterson from Bolts in the Blue tweeted, "Good things keep happening to good teams because bad teams allow them to happen." In regards to Leo Chenal.
Yes.
So. I'm sad Hamilton went to the Ravens. Did Kyron Williams get picked yet? No, Kyron Williams I don't think has gotten picked yet. Who was the last running back taken? I think it was Brian Robinson from Bama. Yeah. Rams pick is in. Niners are on the clock.
A fun part of my wife and my relationship is, and it's been less true because Tom Telesco hasn't picked a Notre Dame guy in a while, but my wife went and swam at Notre Dame. And, when we first started dating, that was very much a thing. Like Chargers, Notre Dame, we're like the Notre Dame of the West. So I got her a Tillery jersey, which it was when we just drafted him. So it should have gone with Tranquil, but. So I actually have a lot of fun watching the Notre Dame games and scouting for us, like who I think we might end up picking. But last year was a bust. We didn't pick anybody. Hopefully this year. I don't think we're going to get Kyron just because he's too much like an Eckler to me. I think we need a complimentary back. But I know George, sorry, or Jorge. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I know it's Tillery jersey. It's my bad. I'll get her a Tranquil one next time, I swear, or whatever the next pick is. But Notre Dame has a tight end that if it was like other sports where you can draft guys and not have them be on your team, you just draft their rights, and then once they get to the pro level, you can get them. Like if we could have drafted him as a freshman, this tight end, Michael Mayer, have you seen his tape at all?
Haven't seen any.
He would be an absolute stud for us next year. So I really hope that, that is a move we make.
That'd be fun. If they could get developmental tight end like that. All right. We do have the last 2 picks of this marathon. Wisconsin interior offensive lineman Logan Bruss goes to the Rams at 104. So that was the spot where they Sean McVay was talking shit about Cole Strange. So they end up getting Logan Bruss, interior offensive lineman guard there. And then 49ers select SMU's Danny Gray, a wide receiver. So those are the final 2 picks of day 3. All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up here. Kyle, final thoughts on JT Woods, day 3 in general, how everything played out?
I think Michael Peterson's comment was perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, you're one of the good teams right now, man, with the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's a good draft for you guys. As far as the Chargers, like we talked about, if Webb can step up and be a really good star defender for us, that third safety, if this paves the way for Nasir to walk next year and get us a high comp pick, it's a pick that could look great in a couple of years. I do really like Nasir. I don't want to see him go, but that is what it is. Hopefully they find a way to make them all work together. But how do you feel?
I'm feeling a B minus to a B on it. I think that it could have been a little bit better just with the need in general there. I think they could have waited a little bit for more of that kind of player, but I do get the upside with JT Woods. I am just a little bit concerned with how raw he is, right? Particularly with the tackling issues. But I think that obviously if Staley sees one of these high upside guys he likes, he goes with him. I did kind of hope for more of an outside corner with that pick, but I do still think there is a lot to like, obviously, about JT Woods with the game-breaking athleticism, speed, absolute ball hawk. So, I mean, the coverage skills are not in question, absolutely. So that's one of the other things that you have to like about him. But probably would have went in another direction there personally. But that'll wrap it up for us tonight. So, Kyle, thank you so much for being on for 3.5 hours. We did it both by ourselves. And I'm excited to see what happens on day 3 tomorrow. So that'll do it for us, and see you guys next time.